But on the Seattle Seahawks, the Saints will face the AFC's leader in takeaways. Terry Taylor with this interception and 75-yard touchdown run, one of 4 interceptions for the Seahawks in their win over the Raiders last week. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Superdome in New Orleans. Tom Hammond and Dave Rowe ready to bring you the game between the New Orleans Saints and the Seattle Seahawks. And Dave, these are two teams sort of heading in opposite directions. The Saints fighting a 4-game losing streak. The Seahawks, though, have been hot lately. They're back in the race in the AFC West.
Absolutely. With their big win over the Raiders last week, they feel they're back in contention and could possibly win their division.
Seattle just a game out of first place. And for Seattle to win today, their defense has to continue to play as well as they have through the last few games.
That's the big key of the game for them, to have their defense set the tempo of the game. They have a tremendous takeaway advantage. They can take the ball away from the offense, and they can really put points on the board. They score at will.
And what about the key to the game for New Orleans?
Well, for New Orleans, they have got to protect their quarterback, and they cannot get behind early. They are not a come-from-behind team. They just don't score a lot of points in the fourth quarter, so they have got to be in the ball game late in the game when they can come back and win.
From the Superdome in New Orleans, the Seahawks won the toss. They'll receive and defend the south goal. Morton Anderson tees it up for the New Orleans Saints. He'll kick it off. And deep for the Seattle Seahawks are Morris and Scansey. Anderson hits it and the game underway. Taken by Scansey a yard deep in the end zone. Scansey just shy of the 20-yard line, up to about the 19, where Bobby Fowler on the special teams for New Orleans makes the stop. So the Seahawks will put it in play, starting from their own 18-yard line. Here's the way they'll line up offensively. Dave Craig, the quarterback. Kurt Warner's playing with a sprained right ankle. Dan Dornick back from injury starting today. Largent, Turner, and Young, the receivers. And the offensive line for the Seahawks, Essink, Bailey, Bush, Pratt starting today, and Kreider. Mark it at the 18 as Dave Craig comes up, 1st and 10. First scrimmage play of the football game. The Seahawks, a big win last week over the Raiders, now 5-4, while the Saints are 3-6. Hand off to Warner. Doesn't get anything, stopped right at the line of scrimmage for no gain. Ricky Jackson, the outside linebacker and the outstanding one for the Saints, comes up to make the hit.
And Ricky Jackson, number 57, one thing that he will do is he's tremendous, not getting knocked off his feet. Now watch this play here. Has somebody come right down his feet. He plays off, great balance, and he gets back in on a tackle. That's going to be a real key, whether they can stop this Seahawk team early.
Ricky Jackson, leading tackler on the New Orleans team, 65 coming into today's game. Gain of 1, make it 2nd and 9 from the 19 of the Seahawks. I formation in the backfield. Warner, the tailback. Dornick is the fullback. Give to Warner. Again, not much there. Maybe another yard, not much more than that. Terry Hogue, the strong safety, comes up quickly to make the play on Warner. Here's the Saints' defensive alignment. Up front, Clark, Elliott, and Wilkes. The linebackers have been a strong point for the Saints. Jackson, Red, Pallur, and Del Rio, the rookie, who's been so tough against the run. In the secondary, Waymer, Poe, Hogue, and Watlet. 3rd down, 9 yards to go. No gain on the last play. Turner, Scansey, Largent, and Walker, 4 receivers in the game for the Seahawks on 3rd and 9. From the shotgun, Craig. Complete to Largent. Largent has a 1st down and out of bounds at about the 34-yard line. Johnny Poe nudged him out of bounds, but not before he got 1st down yardage.
And Tom, quarterbacks continually go back to the people that they feel the most comfortable with. Steve Largent has had a fantastic career. You can see that graphic, 117 games in a row. And watch this, Craig comes right back to him. He knows that if Largent's going to be get a chance, he's going to be open. He knows that when he gets the ball thrown to him, he's going to catch it. Good coverage and just Mr. Reliable, I guess you'd call him.
15-yard gain and a 1st down for Seattle, the 588th career reception for Steve Largent. Mark the ball at the 34, 1st down for the Seahawks. Opening drive of the game, no score from New Orleans. Kurt Warner fights his way forward for maybe a yard and stopped at the 35. Del Rio and Red, linebackers, making the stop, and New Orleans so far has been tough against the run.
They certainly have, but that man, number 28, I should say, Kurt Warner, is really... It's a big game for him today because he's coming off such a terrible knee injury, and he's got a lot of questions. I'm still in the back of his mind, although the trainers say that he is playing just magnificently. He's really coming back to his old form.
Warner had led the AFC in rushing 1983, went down with a knee injury first game of the '84 season. Back, and some say playing almost as well as he did before the injury. Playing today with a sprained right ankle, hasn't practiced all week. Here's a completed pass to Dornick, who gets to the 35-yard line. No gain on the play. Again, Del Rio, the rookie linebacker out of Southern Cal, comes up to make the stop. Dan Dornick, a welcome addition off the injured list for the Seattle Seahawks.
Absolutely. They're very glad to have him back. He's been on injured reserve for some time, and he is a real force back there. He can really catch the ball well coming out of the backfield, and he's going to be a real pivotal player today.
Dornick, 6'3", 210 pounds, 8-year veteran out of Washington State. Starting the game today, goes to med school in the offseason, University of Washington. See Chuck Knox on the sideline for the Seahawks. Knox has taken 9 of his 12 previous teams to the playoffs. 3rd and 8 for the Seahawks. Craig knocked away and incomplete. Good coverage by Waymer, who knocked the ball down, intended for Byron Walker.
And Dave, Craig really didn't have a lot of time in there on that. The pocket seemed to almost collapse around him. You can see there's the ball. He really should have had the ball. Just a lack of concentration on that. That's one of the balls that you hate to have happen because you just know you should catch it.
So on 4th and 8, the Seahawks will punt. Willie Tullis, you see, deep for New Orleans. Finzer, the punter, you see the stats on him, averaging 42.2. His longest of the season has been 59 yards. Finzer gets it away. And a low kick. Fielded at about the 23. And not much yardage on the return as a flag goes down on the play. Paul Moyer making the stop for Seattle. 42-yard punt. We'll check the penalty. Dick Jorgensen and his crew handling the play here at the Superdome this afternoon.
I believe it's going to be a double penalty. I thought there was a double penalty on it because the flag was thrown so late. Now, the first call was an ineligible man downfield.
Jorgensen discussing the options with Dave Wilson, the Saint quarterback.
Ineligible downfield, number 51, kicking team, decline. First stop.
So Sam Merriman downfield illegally. Whistled for it, but the Saints turn it down. And we'll be back with the Saints' first possession in a moment. The Seattle Seahawks on their first possession picked up 1 first down. Then the drive stalled. They had to punt, and now it's the Saints' turn to try their offense. They'll take over on their own 28. 1st and 10, 11:44 to play in the first quarter, and no score.
And Tom, we said it was important if the Saints want to stay in this game that they have got to have some momentum early, and this is, of course, this is the first series they've had a chance to carry the ball.
Saw the zoom past Bum Phillips on the New Orleans sideline. I formation in the backfield. Hokie Gaijan, the up back, returning off the injured list today. Wilson passes incomplete, intended for Gaijan, and it falls incomplete on the short pass attempt. Schultz, the linebacker, in the area covering for the Seahawks. Well, Hokie Gaijan has returned to the New Orleans offense, and here's the way they'll line up. Wilson is the quarterback. Gaijan, after missing most of the last 4 games with a hamstring, is back in there. Wayne Wilson, Eugene Goodlow, the rookie, Eric Martin, and Hobie Brenner, the tight end. And the offensive line for the Saints, Lafari, Perreault, Court, Williams, and Brock. 2nd and 10 for the Saints from their own 28. The lone setback is Gaijan, who gets the pitch and is stopped right as he takes the pitch back and just gets back to the line of scrimmage, if that. Michael Jackson coming up quickly from that outside linebacker stop, making it for Seattle. There's the lineup defensively for the Seahawks. Green, Nash, and Bryant up front. Linebackers for the Seahawks, Schultz, Young, Butler, and Jackson. In the starting secondary, 113 career interceptions. Taylor, Brown, Easley, and Harris, one of the best in the NFL. The Saints get Merkins, Goodlow, and Martin, 3 wide receivers in the game for 3rd and 10. 5 defensive backs in for the Seahawks. From the shotgun, Wilson. Complete. Goodlow to the 40. Hit and dropped at the 35 of Seattle. Keith Simpson finally makes the stop, but Eugene Goodlow, who returned to the lineup today, makes a big first down reception.
He certainly did. Number 88 is just returning into this game. One thing that a quarterback needs is confidence. And this is a confidence builder right here. You can watch the pass come in. He's quite surprised. It went over top of the head. He picks it up and knew exactly what to do with it. But this should really boost this Saints offense because it's been much maligned. They have not been able to move the ball. So a big play for Eugene Goodlow.
Goodlow with his 12th reception of the season. It covered 36 yards. First down for New Orleans at the 36 of Seattle. In motion, Tice. The pitch comes back to Wayne Wilson, who gets a yard or two. Keith Butler makes the stop from an inside linebacker spot for Seattle.
Jacob Green, number 79, of course, playing their left end. He's quite a force on the pass, but watch this on the run. He has to play across the face of this defender, so he almost has to give, trying to get outside position. He doesn't come around. He gets blocked off. It's a good block by Mr. Brock, Stan Brock, number 67.
5-yard gain, 2nd and 5 from the 31 of Seattle. Kansas City in front of Pittsburgh, 7-0. Cherry with an interception and a 47-yard run. Guyjon trying the right side, gets a good block inside the 15 and out of bounds at about the 11. LaFari with an excellent block to spring Guyjon. Taylor made the saving tackle.
Another good block by Eugene Goodlow. He came downfield. An important thing is that a wide receiver has to pick up downfield and get a good block. Now, this is a misdirection play. You can see Guyjon come around. Now, once he gets around, and watch that block there. That's, that is LaFari. And now watch, you'll see 88 in your picture down the bottom of your screen. A good block to drive the defender off field. They are really in scoring position early here.
21-yard gain for Hokie Guyjon with Dave LaFari, the 8-year veteran, making the block that got him free. 1st and 10 from the Seahawk 10 for the Saints. Handoff this time comes back to Guyjon. He's inside the 5-yard line with tough running. Joe Nash stopped him, but Guyjon just lowered his head and bulled his way inside the 5.
Well, it worked for him last time, and it worked for him this time. They only have 2 rushing touchdowns, and both of them, of course, by Hokie Guyjon. An interesting thing that time, I saw Keith Butler get up and kind of hold the back of his leg. I hope he didn't pull a hamstring or strain anything, but he looked as if he was in a lot of pain getting up.
6-yard gain for Guyjon, 2nd and goal, 4-yard line of the Seattle Seahawks as the Saints continue their drive on their opening possession. 8:45 to play first quarter, no score. New Orleans threatening. Guyjon, the lone setback. Tice in motion. Looked like premature movement by the Seattle defense as flags go down. Guyjon gets a yard or two. Bryant looked like he jumped too soon.
That's good voice inflection by Dave Wilson, number 18, the quarterback, to draw the defense offside. Most defenses always go on, offenses go on 2. And that time they came up there, went hut, and drew the defense offside to get a little bit more yards. Of course, it's only going to be half the distance to the goal.
Dickerson with a 1-yard run to put the Rams
Offside,
playing without Dieter Brock
right side
in front of New York.
Defense, still 2nd down.
There's the offside call. Move it half the distance to the goal. Spotted now at the 2-yard line. 2nd and goal for the Saints. Brenner, Tice, and Hardy, 3 tight ends in for New Orleans. Randy Edwards comes in. They've got 4 down linemen now, the Seahawks do. Edwards, Green, Nash, and Bryant. That's Tice in motion. Give to Guyjon. Tripped up right at the line of scrimmage by Joe Nash.
And Jeff Bryant, number 77, really dove in there that time to undercut the running back. Watch this penetration by number 77. This is all you're trying to do, is get that position. Hokie Guyjon gets the ball. Now you'll see Bryant come in there. There's the undercut. Guyjon just knocks his feet out from under him. Great play.
He was Bryant, 77 with the play, and Hokie Guyjon is down. What a blow to the Saint offense. We'll check the injury when we come back. Right now we'll take a timeout. Saints are just coming back after a hamstring injury, has gone to the sideline, replaced by Earl Campbell in the New Orleans backfield. 3rd and goal from the 3. Give us to Wilson. Hit right at the line of scrimmage and driven back by the center of the Seahawk line. Randy Edwards leading the charge for Seattle.
Well, you have to be impressed with this Seahawk team. The defense, they have really come out and played good goal line defense. Great pursuit, great reaction to the ball. Now watch how quickly, and you'll see Wilson will turn back up inside. Campbell goes outside. Wilson thought he saw a seam, but look at how quickly the Seahawks are in there. Great pursuit. 3, 4, 5 guys.
No gain on the play. It'll set up a 4th down and a field goal attempt by Martin Anderson, who has made 9 straight and 11 of his last 12. The kick is up, and the kick is good. So New Orleans strikes first, and the Saints take a 3-0 lead with 7:14 to play, first quarter. 3-0 here in the first quarter. We have another NFL score to update you on. Buffalo has gone out in front 3-0 over Houston on a Scott Norwood field goal. Well, Dave, Hokie Guyjon going down with that injury. It's ligament damage, they tell us. He will not return. A big blow to the Saints.
It certainly is. He got undercut by Jeff Bryant, number 77, on a goal line play, and it had to give. It was one of those things where something has to give, and it looked as if it was his knee.
All right, in the end zone, Scansey takes Anderson's kickoff and downs it, so the Seahawks will put it in play from their own 20-yard line. That scoring play by the Saints, covering 69 yards and 9 plays, consuming 4.5 minutes. Capped off by that 20-yard field goal by Morton Anderson. Guyjon with ligament damage will not return. We told you he had missed most of the last 4 games with hamstring damage. He goes down here in the first quarter against Seattle. Dave Craig and his Seahawks now trailing 3-0. I formation in the backfield. Warner's the tailback. Dornick the fullback. Wide receivers to either side. Warner gets about 3 yards. Piling ahead with black-shirted Saints draped all over him. Del Rio, Pallur, Poe all getting a piece of the tackle. And New Orleans so far in the first quarter has been tough to run against.
And that's what they have to do. As we look at the AFC leading rushers, you can see where Kurt Warner has in third position, but the Saints have got to react to the ball because Kurt Warner is just Mr. Excitement out there. He has more moves than you've ever seen in your life. He just can really do everything with the football.
Steelers have tied the Chiefs. 2nd and 6 for the Seahawks. A flag goes down as Dornick doesn't get much on the carry. Flags flying every which way. Johnny Poe, the cornerback, made the stop. It's going to be holding against Seattle.
And that absolutely was holding on the play. Whenever the easiest thing to do is to grab a player when you miss your block, and coaches will tell you if you can see his name, don't block him. And that's what they did that time, because all the names are on the back.
Dave Rowe is a former Saint, and this is the first New Orleans game you've done since you've been broadcasting.
Certainly is.
Holding, number 28, offense, decline. Illegal use of hands, number 81, offense, accepted, still second down.
Darrell Turner, number 81, guilty of the hold. Chuck Knox, 117 wins. He, of course, is one of the leaders in the National Football League and has won 6 divisional championships.
All I can say about coming back here is it's a real thrill for me to come back to New Orleans, having started my career here, but I think I got into too many oysters and shrimp last night.
The pleasures of New Orleans. Bum Phillips has not experienced much pleasure here. You heard Larry King on NFL 85 say his fate may be up for grabs the last 7 games of the season. Craig's pass looked like it was partially deflected. Right now, let's go to Bob Costas, NFL 85.
All right, Tom, Pittsburgh has tied the Chiefs at KC at 7-7 on this pass from David Woodley to John Stallworth, 13-yard TD. Earlier, Deron Cherry, who has an NFL-high 6 interceptions this year, ran one back 47 yards for a KC touchdown, so it's 7-7.
And here in New Orleans, it's 3-0 Saints with Seattle facing a 3rd and 16 situation from their own 14-yard line. Tampa Bay in front of St. Louis, 3-0 in the first. Shotgun formation. Craig, downfield, he got a man open. And is it good or not? Let's see.
Well, all the
Walker.
Saints are saying no.
Saints are saying no. What does the official say?
I think the official's saying yes, he caught it. An outstanding catch by Byron Walker. Wow. Watch this. Let's see if we can see it. Now, the ball's way down by the ground. Does he get his hands underneath it? I believe he did.
Looked like a good catch. Byron Walker, 6'4", 190 pounds, 4 years out of the Citadel with his 14th catch of the season.
And you should have seen the pressure Dave Craig was under that time. He really was under some pressure. His pocket is almost collapsing around him.
27-yard gain for Seattle gives them a first down at their own 41-yard line. 5.5 minutes to play first quarter. Saints lead 3-0. Largent in motion. Split backs in the backfield. Craig with a swing pass completes to Dornick. Gets to the 45-yard line. Knocked out of bounds by Del Rio there. Minnesota breaks on top of Green Bay in the first. Ted Brown with a 1-yard run for the score.
8 of 5, second drive.
That was a good example, Tom, of how Dornick can really catch the ball coming out of the backfield. Has great hands. In contrast, on the other side, of course, is Earl Campbell, who can't catch a cold.
Campbell with 1 reception this year. Didn't start today. He's been booed here in New Orleans, and Bum Phillips kept him on the sideline to start the game. He came in when Gaijon went down. 2nd and 5 for the Seahawks after that 5-yard completion to Dornick. Warner, right as he got to the line of scrimmage, Ricky Jackson met him right at the pass.
Oh, Ricky Jackson's shot. A shooting linebacker will disrupt the play faster than anything. He comes underneath his block, number 57. Now watch, you'll see the lead block misses him. And watch the collision here between he and Warner. Missing right there. There's the block. Boy, oh boy, that was a good stick.
Ricky Jackson with an excellent tackle. Loss of 2 on the play. Jackson is, you see, 27-year-old, 239-pounder, 5-year veteran out of Pittsburgh. 3rd and 7. Here's Craig. Way downfield. Intended for Turner, but it fell incomplete. Tullis back on the coverage for New Orleans, and Craig and Turner cannot connect on the pass and attempted reception.
And the offensive line of Seattle is a very good line. I talked to Robert Pratt ahead of time, who's just starting his first game after coming back from an injury. But they have got to stop this Saint team before the pocket collapses around Craig. He needs just a little bit more time.
Dave Finzer will punt. There's the deep man Tullis for New Orleans. There's Finzer, 2nd-year veteran from DePaul. First punt covered, 42, as you see. Tullis calls for a fair catch and takes it at about the 23-yard line. No return on the play as the Saints will put it in offensive possession from their own 23.
One of the big plays, of course, in the first quarter was that injury to Hokie Gaijon, number 46. Jeff Bryant just submarined in there, took his legs out, a direct hit on the knee, and we've got some knee ligament damage. Whether it's a strain or a tear, we won't speculate on, but that could be a big factor in this game because it's really going to change the running factor.
So Gaijon on the sideline. New Orleans puts it in play, 1st and 10 from its own 23. Wilson in trouble and sacked. Fred Young and Joe Nash putting the clamps on Wilson. Well, next Saturday, join NBC Sports as we continue our coverage of the Professional Bowlers Association Fall Tour. The 3rd stop on the tour takes us to Woodland Bowl in Indianapolis for the $135,000 True Value Open. Some of the top names on the tour will be there. Join host Jay Randolph and Hall of Famer Earl Anthony as they bring you all the action here on NBC Sports. 5-yard loss on the sack, the first sack of the game for the Seattle defense. From the 18, it'll be 2nd and 15 New Orleans as the Eagles break on top of Atlanta. Green, Edwards, Nash, and Bryant, 4 down linemen in the game for Seattle. Wilson's pass complete to Tice. Tice to the 30 and fights his way for another couple of yards. Tice, the tight end, on a key reception. Simpson and Easley making the stop for Seattle.
And the difference on that pass is that Wilson got rid of the ball quickly. You'll see that neither team is really protecting their quarterback well. Watch how quickly the pocket just collapses around Wilson, but he gets the ball off quickly. And Tice makes an excellent catch down on about the 25-yard line, has the forethought to get up and run, and picks up an extra 5-6 yards.
And it covered 14 yards, still shy of the first down, however, just over a yard shy. You see John Tice, who has a brother that's a tight end for Seattle, though he's on injured reserve. Pitch comes back to Wilson. He has the first down and more to the 40.
That time I watched number 45, Kenny Easley, and they're just grabbing him. He is Mr. Everything back there in the secondary. He's always near the ball. Now he's walked over and told the referee that he's getting held. Let's see if we can see it here. You'll see number 87 come out on him. That's Larry Hardy, and he's just grabbing him and pulling him down, and Easley still gets off and gets back in the tackle. They say he is the most intense player on their defensive secondary.
There's Easley, a Pro Bowler, of course, and NFL Defensive Player of the Year 1984. First down, New Orleans, after that 8-yard run by Wilson. Gets the call again, spins and turns and gets to the 45-yard line before Jeff Bryant pins him to the turf. Cincinnati leading Cleveland at Riverfront 7-0 in the first. And Chicago with Steve Fuller running from 1 yard, starting at quarterback in place of McMahon, getting the unbeaten Bears on top of the Lions.
I thought when McMahon couldn't start, I thought maybe they might start William Perry, but they elected not to.
He's done everything else, and he probably was leading the way for Fuller on that 1 yard touchdown run. 6 yard gain on the last play, 2nd and 4 from New Orleans 46. Wilson sidearms it complete to Wilson, who gets into Seattle territory down to near the 45. Butler and Young, linebackers, made the stop, but out of the backfield, Wilson was open in the middle of that Seattle defense.
And one thing the coaching staff felt for the Saints is that if Dave Wilson, the quarterback, gets enough time and has success early, he can really have a good game. You'll see the quick release here. He's getting a lot of pressure. There's 77 there, Jeff Bryant, and throws a good strike to the other Wilson, Wayne Wilson, but he has had success early, and that should build his confidence.
There's Wilson, who got 9 yards on that play, giving New Orleans a first down at the 45 of Seattle. Hand off to Wilson again. Picks his way behind quick blocking down to the 35-yard line. Kenny Easley had to make the tackle. Ralph Williams starting right guard with a nice block as Wilson picked his way for good yardage.
And Wayne Wilson, of course, is number 30. They really blocked well on this play. Watch Joe Nash there. They're doubling him. He gets stuck in the hole. Now Wilson has good sight coming through the hole. There's the hole back to his right. He jumps back inside. That's the sign of a good running back when you have the vision to be able to cut back. Now watch this double here. This is an area block double. Nash gets caught up in the pile, and there comes Wilson down through the hole. That's tough hoeing in there, so to speak.
Excellent blocking. First down, New Orleans after a 10-yard gain. Saints have advanced to the 35 of Seattle. Give to Wilson once again, and not much there this time as he fights toward the 30-yard line before Fred Young tackles him. Pittsburgh with a field goal by Gary Anderson from 35 yards, leading Kansas City by 3.
Tom, today we have some great matchups. I love that matchup between Court and Joe Nash, number 72 on Seattle. And, of course, Jeff Bryant playing out there and Jacob Green. We have got some excellent matchups on the front line.
All right, and the first quarter comes to an end with New Orleans in front, 3-0. Saints leading the Seahawks 3-0 as we get set to start the second quarter. One of the reasons that the Seahawks are 5-4 is that takeaway giveaway ratio, Dave.
Well, that's an interesting statistic, and it's the first thing that Chuck Knox said to us. In our 5 wins, we had 11 more takeaways. That's recovering fumbles and intercepting the ball, and giveaways, of course, when you throw interceptions or you fumble. And you can see 5 wins, they had a +11, and their 4 losses, they had a -8.
1984, the Seahawks led the NFL in takeaway giveaway ratio. But it's New Orleans that's been controlling the offense today. Wilson is back to pass, in trouble, and he goes down. There's the sack of Wilson by Jacob Green and Bruce Schultz, the linebacker.
Should be really some interesting stats on the first quarter, because it was pretty much the Saints ball game in the first half. They had the ball longer, of course, you can see, and they did a lot more with it. 113 yards. It has to boost their morale. But this Seahawk team is a very, very explosive offense. They can score almost any time, and probably the biggest factor that they have not been able to do in the first quarter was, of course, their running game. They only had 4 yards rushing.
Loss of 5 on the sack of Wilson. It'll be 3rd and 11 for the Saints. Wilson, good protection this time, goes for the end zone. It's incomplete. Intended for Brenner, the tight end, who went all the way to the end zone. Harris and Simpson double coverage, able to bat it away.
And Hobie Brenner knows how close he came to just making an outstanding reception. All the way off the line, you'll see him on the right side of your screen. It's just what they call a go pattern. The quarterback just has to have time. It's one-on-one, and Wilson just lays this ball up, and you'll see Hobie Brenner, number 85, almost comes down with it. Good concentration. Watch this. Almost comes down with it. Boy, that was really close.
Got one hand on it and almost made a grab again on the second try, but not quite. And in 4th and 11 from the 36, the Saints put Hansen into punt formation. Brian Hansen, who has averaged 42.8 this season and is second in the NFL in net yardage, 35.5, tied for the lead. Looks for the coffin corner. It'll go out of bounds. Let's see where they spot it. They line up the angle. It looks like they're going to put it down at about the 8-yard line. So Hansen is going to put it down, and we'll see when we come back where they spot it. New Orleans lead. That last punt went out of bounds at the 13-yard line, a 23-yarder from Hansen, so Seattle takes over on its own 13. 14-16 to play first half. Saints leading by 3. The running game has not been there for Seattle this afternoon. Kurt Warner carries the ball. That's his 6th carry of the afternoon, and he's gotten just about 6 yards total. Minnesota leading Green Bay 7-3 in the second. And Buffalo extending its lead over Houston to 10-0. Greg Bell with a 2-yard run as Buffalo looks for another win. It's second of the season. 2-yard gain for Warner on the last one. 2nd and 8 from the 15-yard line. Split backs in the backfield. Largent in motion. Craig hands to Warner. Got blockers in front as a flag goes down. Stopped at the 20-yard line. Looks like it'll be another holding call against Seattle.
And I believe it's going to be against Ricky Jackson. Or on Ricky Jackson, I should say. And Kurt Warner's getting up a little bit slow. Now, he has had a sore ankle. Maybe we can get another peek at this coming at it. He has had a sore ankle. That's not the knee injury that he's, of course, sustained last year. He has had a sore ankle. He hasn't had very good statistics today. Maybe we can get another look at it.
Offense, half the distance, still second down.
John Williams is called for the hold. See if we can pick it up from ground level.
Now watch just at the tail end of this play. You'll see Warner make that cut back outside. There's that right ankle. Now there's the hold inside there. Of course, we don't get a good view at that, but watch the tail end of this play. It looks as if Kurt Warner just goes down and bangs that ankle right there where he banged it on the turf.
He's been sort of gimpy. We saw him in practice yesterday. He didn't practice all this week and had it heavily taped. In fact, he kept changing the tape. He didn't quite like one tape job. He'd get another, and looks like he has re-injured that ankle. 2nd and 16 for the Seahawks from their own 7. Swing pass, Craig, right at the goal line and back to the 1-yard line. Randall Morris took it right at the goal line and barely escaped the safety as Ricky Jackson smelled it out all the way.
Well, we talked about earlier about number 57, Ricky Jackson, not losing his balance, not being knocked off his feet. Watch him all the way through this play. He starts to drop back. All of a sudden he sees it. There he doesn't get knocked off his feet. Almost tackles for a safety. He's playing outstanding so far today.
If he had spun him the other way, he would have spun him into the end zone. As Morris, who came in for Warner, took the pass and was met by Ricky Jackson right at the goal line. Mark it at the 1 for Chuck Knox's team.
And if you're Seattle, you have to pick up 10 yards so you at least get a decent punting position.
3rd and 22. Craig hands it off. Fighting forward is Morris, who gets shy of the 5-yard line and not much room to punt out of there. Scott Pallure, inside linebacker, playing tough as the fans in the Superdome applaud the defense.
And that number 50 is Jack Del Rio. He's kind of a cheerleader out there. They said that he has made a big difference in their defensive scheme. Now, a normal punter punts from about 15 to 16 yards, steps up to about 13. As Finzer gets back here to punt this ball, he's only going to be standing at about 13 yards. When he steps forward, he'll be at about 11, but he has to be very, very aware of that back line. He's looking back to make sure that he cannot step back.
Tullis is deep for New Orleans as you look at Finzer's stats, standing right on the edge of his goal line. High, good punt.
Oh, he got a rocket.
Chases Tullis all the way back to his own 40. And he's hit just shy of midfield. Good coverage by the Seattle special teams as Finzer got off a rocket. But New Orleans will have good field position when we come back. 61-yard punt, but the Saints lead by 3. Finzer with a clutch 61-yard punt, his longest punt of the season. Tullis got a 15-yard return. Here's Finzer again, right on his goal line. What a clutch punt.
It certainly was. That's the mark of a great punter, when you're back there and you've got everything against you and you get off a 60-yard punt to help your offense.
From midfield, New Orleans with a first down. Swing pass complete. Blocking out in front as Anthony fights his way forward into Seattle territory down at about the 45-yard line before Michael Jackson can make the stop. 5-yard gain, setting up 2nd and 5 for the Saints, who have controlled the play so far in the first half. 11-17 to play in the second quarter.
But Tom, the longer the Saints don't try to attack that defensive secondary of Seattle, the more that Seattle secondary is going to move up and make those short plays. They'll give you those little swing passes for 4 and 5 yards, but you have to go downfield and attack it every once in a while.
We said the Saints had to stay in the game early. They have so far. Wilson 4 of 6 in the passing department. Here's a running play as the handoff is to Earl Campbell. Tough yardage off the right side, gets a couple of yards. Easley, Schultz, and Young, linebackers and safety respectively, stopping Campbell after a 3-yard gain.
Well, of course, as a linebacker, you have to look across the line. You have to play across that tackle, trying to block, that guard trying to block you. But there he gets in there with Earl Campbell, but that's quite a load coming at you. Earl Campbell, the old Earl Campbell, had a great body lean. All you'd see would just be shoulder pads and knees coming at you.
Campbell, 3-time NFL most valuable player, 5 times in the Pro Bowl, but not having a good season so far. 3rd and 2. This is Wilson, and he's got the first down. Now let's go to Bob Costas at NFL 85.
All right, Tom, the Battle of Ohio continues at Three Rivers Stadium, or make it Riverfront Stadium in Cincinnati. All those new ballparks look alike. Ernest Biner makes the catch of the Bernie Kosar pass, takes it in 27 yards for the tying touchdown. Earlier, Esiason had hit James Brooks for the go-ahead for Cincy. They're tied now at 7-7.
And here at the Superdome, Saints lead 3-0 with 9:40 to play in the second quarter. And New Orleans with a 1st and 10 from the Seahawks 39-yard line. Earl Campbell across the 35 down to about the 33-yard line. Campbell had his longest run of the season against the Rams last week, a 36-yarder, but he pulled his hamstring and had to go out.
Well, there's the great statistics of Earl Campbell. We might get another peek at this and show you what it looks like if you were a defensive player. Now watch Earl Campbell come into your screen. Just pretend that you're a defensive player. You can see there's Freddie Young, number 50, playing across the block. Earl Campbell just cuts back. He doesn't run like the old Earl Campbell most of the time, but boy, he still can really hurt you when he hits you.
6-yard gain that time for Campbell. 2nd and 4 for the Saints from the Seahawk 33. Campbell again met right at the line of scrimmage, perhaps carried the white shirts forward for a yard, but not much more than that. Nash and Butler combining for the hit for the Seahawks. Pittsburgh over Kansas City now, 13-7. Gary Anderson, 31-yard field goal.
And Tom, in this situation, the old Earl Campbell in this situation would never be stopped for this yardage. 3rd down and 1, that was prime Earl Campbell situations. And it'll be interesting to see if the Saints go to him in this situation. But 3rd down and 1 yard to go.
Officially 3rd and 2, Dave, but it is about 1.5 after a 2-yard gain by Campbell on the last carry. Split backs in the backfield now. 4 down linemen as the Seahawks stack against the run, and Wilson goes up top, complete. Down inside the 10-yard line to about the 6 as Brenner, the tight end, released. Wilson put it right on the money, and Dave Brown had to make the stop to prevent the touchdown.
Well, everybody was thinking Earl Campbell up the middle. They're down to the 6-yard line. That's what he's signaling. But if you want to fool the defense, what you do is you fake this run in here, and this is no holds barred. This is what New England did last week on a flea flicker. And there's Dave Wilson throwing to Brenner. He's wide open. It's man-on-man coverage. And number 22, Dave Brown, just has to make a saving tackle down to the 6-yard line.
25-yard gain on the reception by Brenner. 1st and goal from the 6. Tice in motion. Campbell tries the other side. He's got a clear path. It is stopped short of the end zone. Was that Earl Campbell?
No way. And listen to this crowd react. They realize that's not the Earl Campbell. Earl Campbell in the old days used to run right over top of you. That's Dave Brown, 190 pounds. Now this is the defensive end coming into, there's Michael Jackson coming across. Now watch Earl Campbell bounce off here, and we'll see the tail end. I couldn't believe when I saw Dave Brown come up here. I just can't believe that he came up here and made this tackle, but I don't know whether Earl slipped or whether Dave just made an outstanding tackle, but Earl would never do this before. Great play.
He tried to go around him, and the old Earl Campbell would have gone right
through him, over top him, and ground him up.
It's still 2nd and goal from the 2, however, for New Orleans. Wilson fell down, got the handoff to Wilson, who fights to the 1. Randy Edwards pins him there. 1-yard gain on the play. It'll be 3rd and goal coming up for the Saints. They've moved the ball well, but have seemed to stall when they've gotten close to the goal line, and will no doubt miss Hokie Gaijan right now.
Well, inside the 10-yard line, they've already had 7 or 8 shots, and they have not scored. This Seattle team has really responded on defense. They call themselves the benders, but not breakers, so to speak, and that's the sign of a great defense. Move it all you want from 30 to 30, but when you get in my territory, it's going to be tough to score.
3rd and goal, about 1.5 yards away from the Seattle end zone. Wilson rolls out, in trouble, lets it go. It's going to be a touchdown to Tice. Now they say, no, he was in the grasp. No touchdown. Kenny Easley had him in the grasp. The official, Dick Jorgensen, says no touchdown. Wilson was in the grasp.
Well, this is a play this type of play is designed to protect the quarterback so he doesn't get that second hit. Now let's see if he's in the grasp or not. There's the arms around. He's obviously in the grasp, and on his way down, he throws it up. And that is really to protect your quarterback in those situations, but it was another big play for Seattle.
Well, I think it was the correct call, but that's a tough call to make. Bum Phillips is really stalking the sideline as Anderson comes in to try the field goal. Blocked. Ball still loose. Joe Nash blocked it, picked up, and returned to about the 19-yard line by Dave Brown. Seattle had a field goal block against the Raiders a week ago that they returned for a touchdown. Now they block one here as Anderson's attempt is no good, but New Orleans still clings to that 3-point lead. How did Nash come so free?
Well, I think it was a combination block between. They pulled Dave LaFari out and shot Joe Nash, number 72, up underneath. It's a timing play, a teamwork play.
First time Anderson has ever missed inside the 30, and of course that one blocked. 1st and 10 Seahawks. See if that gives them a lift. Completed pass to the tight end Charlie Young. The defensive player of the Saints went for the interception. Looked like Pallure, the linebacker, and Young able to make the grab for the reception and a first down for the Seahawks at about the 42. 23-yard gain.
And he just about came. You talked about Pallure right there. He just about comes up with at least a tip. But this really gets the Seahawks moving and gets them out of trouble. They've been back in their own field position all game long.
Less than 5 minutes to play in the first half. Saints leading 3-0. Craig completes the pass. Fighting forward is Dornick to about the 45-yard line. Del Rio comes up in coverage to make the stop for the Saints.
Dave Craig is up there trying to help up Dan Dornick. It looked as if Dornick really took quite a shot from the linebacker when he came up.
And Dornick is another player like Gaijan on the Saints that is just coming back after an injury, and he goes down here in the second quarter. 4:36 remaining. Saints leading here 3-0.
And I can tell you that he's in a little bit of pain there. You can see him kind of wrestling around a little bit, but we won't speculate, of course.
Bill Kenny has hit Jeff Smith, a 35-yard scoring pass. The Chiefs lead by 1 over Pittsburgh. That's a second quarter score. And Philadelphia in front of Atlanta 14-0. Ron Jaworski with a 1-yard run for the Eagles. Now for more scores, let's go to NFL 85 and Bob Costas.
Kansas City jumps back in front of Pittsburgh in the second quarter at Arrowhead Stadium. Here's Bill Kenny to rookie Jeff Smith. Nice catch, then a nifty run, and he breaks tackles toward the end of it and spins into the end zone. 45-yard TD, and it's the Chiefs by 1 at 14-13.
And at the Superdome, the Saints leading Seattle 3-0. New Orleans has twice been inside the 10-yard line, in fact inside the 5-yard line of Seattle, but unable to get into the end zone. And they had that last field goal attempt blocked. They still have a 3-0 lead. This telecast presented by authority of the National Football League, intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the expressed written consent of the New Orleans Saints and the National Football League is prohibited.
And you hate to see a young man go off the field there, Dan Dornick. They did pull down his sock on his right leg, and it looked as if he got some type, hopefully just a strain on that knee area.
Cleveland, Cincinnati tied 7-7 in the second. Kansas City in front of Pittsburgh by 1. And the Rams in front of the Giants 10-0 in the second quarter at the Meadowlands.
Let's see if we can take another look at that hit. You'll see Dornick, he takes a shot right on the knee, and the knee almost collapses underneath him. Again, I hope that foot pulled clear before the injury.
Good news for the Seahawks. Kurt Warner is back in the game on 2nd and 7. Complete pass to Warner. Gets by one man to midfield and into New Orleans territory, close to the first down. Other scores: Chicago clinging to a 7-0 lead over the Lions, trying to remain unbeaten. Tampa Bay out in front of St. Louis 10-0. And Indianapolis breaks on top of New England 6-0. Minnesota 7-3 over the Packers in the second. And Buffalo shutting out Houston 10-0. You just saw that score a moment ago. Philadelphia in front of Atlanta 14-0. NFL 85 with all the scores and highlights coming up at halftime, and a feature on Joe Don Looney, former teammate of yours.
One of my old teammates, and boy, he was crazy then. I'm curious to see what he's doing now.
First down for the Seahawks from the Saint 47 after that 8-yard play by Warner. As the Seahawks try to get on the board, Craig in trouble. Comes out of there on the run and slides to the turf after a gain of 4 or 5 yards. Ricky Jackson came up, and Craig slid down rather than take the hit from Jackson, who's had an outstanding game in the first half.
And that was what they call the safe slide. When you slide with your feet going forward, the defender cannot hit you. It's kind of like a give-up slide, whereas the other one, of course, you would dive forward for the yardage, and you can be hit.
4-yard gain on the scramble. 2nd and 6 for the Seahawks as we come inside the 3-minute mark. Dornick has sprained his knee. He will not return. Tough break for Dornick, who just got back into action today.
But it's good to hear it's just a sprained knee.
Craig 8 of 11. Byron Franklin in at a wide receiver spot in place of Turner on 2nd and 6. Craig has time. Goes deep. Almost intercepted. Intended for Largent. Terry Hogue, the 2-year veteran out of Georgia, should have had it.
Oh, absolutely. Terry Hogue, number 24 for the Saints, played this ball. He's playing it. They're playing Steve Largent man-on-man coverage with the safety playing what they call zone. He's just reacting to the play. And you'll see the safety coming over into your picture. There's number 24. It just hit him in a bad place, the hands.
Should have been an interception for New Orleans. Instead, it'll be 3rd and 6 for the Seahawks. Largent, already with 1 reception today, has caught a pass in 117 straight games. Let's pause briefly for station identification. This is the NBC Television Network.
This is Channel 5, KING-TV, Seattle.
Tom Hammond, Dave Rowe at the Superdome. New Orleans leads 3-0, 2:29 to play first half. 3rd and 6, Seattle. Craig in trouble. Being chased. He's got the first down and slides safely shy of the 30-yard line. Good scramble by Dave Craig.
And it was awfully, I know Dave Craig could have heard the footsteps pounding behind him because he took off like they poured hot water on his back. You'll see the pocket just collapses around him. It looks like number 75, Bruce Clark, comes all the way around the backside and starts running after Dave Craig. Now he knows that he's going to be hit. Now watch right here. You're going to see the safe slide that we talked about before. The minute he touches down, that's where they mark the ball. That's why the ball's not up farther, because it's the minute he gives what they call the safe slide.
Frank Warren is the injured Saint player. He was the man chasing Craig. He had those big hoofbeats pounding down, and when he went to the turf, he evidently was injured. He's being attended to right now at the 40-yard line. So Frank Warren is the injured Saint player as Craig goes to the sideline for some instruction on the Seahawks, who will face a 1st and 10 from the New Orleans 33. 2 minutes, 11 seconds remaining in the first half of play. That last scramble by Craig netted 10 yards. Seahawks first down rushing in the game so far. They have picked up 4 first downs through the air. Bob Ahmad and Pete Axthelm at halftime on NFL 85. Bring you up to date on all the action, and that feature on Joe Don Looney, that should be a wild one. He's had an interesting career on and off the field.
Oh, he's experienced the glory and the disappointments. Last time I heard, I think he was cleaning elephants over in India or something. I read something about it, but tremendous athletic ability. Just a great athlete.
Frank Warren going off the field under his own power and apparently not seriously injured on that last play. Stay tuned for NFL 85 coming up at halftime with 2:11 remaining here in the second period of play.
I always call them the good, the bad, and the ugly there. I can't tell which is which, so on NFL 85.
We'll debate that as Larry King on NFL 85 today said that Bum Phillips' job was in jeopardy, that the last 7 games of the season would determine whether he will go or stay. New England leading Indianapolis now 7-6. 2-minute warning as Seattle will not get a playoff, and we'll take a timeout here with New Orleans leading 3-0. Saints just saw Frank Warren go to the sideline as well, and has bruised ribs and is questionable for the rest of the game. 2 minutes to play in the first half. 3-0 Saints. 1st and 10 for the Seahawks at the New Orleans 33-yard line. Saints have dominated the game so far, but have only 3 points to show for it. Looked like somebody in the Seattle line might have moved a little bit, and the Saints react. We'll see which way the call goes. Bruce Clark came flying across.
Offense, still first down.
And it was Kreider of Seattle that drew him offside.
Well, what happened is Bob just said, I wanted to get mentioned on back in Seattle, so he kind of gave a little flinch. All he did was just kind of set up quickly, but the defense goes on movement, and Bruce Clark saw that movement, jumped offside, and drew the 5-yard penalty.
Kreider, 8-year veteran from Alabama, saw his Crimson Tide team play LSU to a tie yesterday up the pike at Baton Rouge, about 70 miles away. 1st and 15 now from the 38 for Seattle. Craig completes it short to Warner. Nice move to the 40, down to the 20-yard line, where he stopped after getting a Seattle first down. Johnny Poe and Terry Hogue made the stop on Warner. Picks up a Seattle first down. The drive continues as we come down to the minute 40 mark. 18-yard gain.
And more offensive backs are playing a part in the passing game where you dump it off. You have a person with the ability of a Kurt Warner. He can take that ball. It's like a long handoff. You give him one-on-one, and there's very few people will bring him down in the open field one-on-one.
First down from the 20. Less than a minute and a half remaining first half, and the Saints up 3-0. Seattle threatening. Again, across the middle, complete this time to Turner. Turner is down to the 11-yard line with Glenn Red hanging on to a leg and taking him to the turf there. And Seattle quickly stops the clock with a timeout, 1:11 showing.
And Mr. Darrell Turner, number 81, they ought to call him Mr. Touchdown because he catches the ball, scores a touchdown 9 times out of every 22 catches.
Being 210 years today. Happy birthday to the U.S. Marine Corps with Veterans Day coming up tomorrow. Thank you to all the veterans who have defended this country over the years. A minute 11 remaining in the first half, and Seattle threatening. Chuck Knox conferring there with Dave Craig as quarterback. And Seattle seemed to get a lift off that blocked field goal. Again, it's that defense that often gets the offense going with the takeaway. Bum Phillips trying to regroup. He's had plenty of chances today, only 3 points to show for it.
And Tom, in any NFL football game, there are 4 or 5 plays that really dictate the emotion. That play was a big turning point because they had come all the way down, their defense had held, and then don't allow any points, and it really did, as you say, turn the emotions of the game.
2 tight ends, Young and Ross, in for Seattle. 2nd and 1 from the 11. Give to Warner to the 5, where he stopped after picking up another first down. Glenn Red, the linebacker, makes the tackle, and Seattle again stops the clock with its second timeout. A minute 5 showing. It'll be first down for Seattle at the 5-yard line of New Orleans. 6-yard gain that time by Warner. The running game held in check throughout the first part of the first half, but now Seattle beginning to move it on the ground.
They certainly are moving on the ground, but in this situation, the point I was trying to make before with Darrell Turner, number 81, is that they continually go to him in this situation. He had 9 touchdown catches out of his first 20 catches this year, so that's quite a ratio. Every 2.2 catches, he scores a touchdown.
See the timeout situation, the Seahawks with 1 remaining, and the clock shows a minute 5 for the first half. Saints dominating the statistics early in the game, but Seahawks getting cranked up after that field goal block and moving it all the way down the field. Warner now has carried 7 times for only 12 yards. Craig has gained 14 yards on 2 carries, 2 scrambles, and Morris on 1 carry gained 3 yards.
And I think the big play of the first half has to be that run by Earl Campbell when he just did not lower it, run over top of Dave Washington. Dave Washington, you have to give credit there. He made an outstanding tackle on that play.
Kind of sad in a way to see Earl Campbell, one of the great running backs in NFL history, sort of back away from what made him the great running back, and that is the power.
That's absolutely true. He has been, for years, he's been known as running over people, running through people. And that time he tried to absolutely sidestep Dave Washington. Dave Washington came up low, knocked his feet out from under him, and that was not prime Earl Campbell.
Your man Darrell Turner is back in the game as they go away from the 2 tight end alignment. 1st and goal from the 5-yard line. Minute 5 to go in the first half. Saints leading 3-0. High formation in the backfield. Warner, the tailback. He gets the call. Stopped short of the goal line at about the 1 by Frank Watlett, the free safety. And the clock continues to run. 4-yard gain. They'll mark it at the 1-yard line. It'll be 2nd and goal for Seattle. And Seattle stops the clock with its final timeout, 49 seconds showing.
I hope I gave credit to Dave Brown and not Dave Washington. I meant Dave Brown.
Let's take a look ground level at Kurt Warner and tell us if his knee is back to 100%, Dave?
Well, I think it is physically, but psychologically there'll always be that there until he gets to have several good big games. But look at the cutting, slashing style that he has in there. There is virtually no hole in there. There's a small seam, and he has the ability to almost skip through there when he runs. He has the ability, quick feet, gets the feet down very quickly, a lot like Walter Payton, and runs in that same type of style. A lot of foot action, able to cut on a dime and give you a nickel's change.
May see the brace there on his right knee. He practices without a brace, but does wear the brace in the game.
Now, one thing he's trying to do there is keep that ankle warm. That's why he's walking back and forth when everybody else is kind of standing still and resting. He's trying to keep that ankle from stiffening up before he gets into halftime.
Bum Phillips embattled, many calling for his dismissal here in New Orleans in his 5th year with the Saints. And the Saints, the only team in the NFL that have never been to the playoffs.
And Bum said that he wasn't going to quit this week. He said, I'm not going out a loser. I've been in this game too long.
That's not his style. 11th play of the drive that began at the Seattle 19. 2nd and goal from the 1. Warner dives into the end zone. Seattle touchdown.
And again, he gets up limping. That ankle is obviously bothering, but a great effort by Kurt Warner. Over top. Now watch this ground level shot. There's just no way that you can stop this unless you get a linebacker up high, but there's the jump and just literally rolls over the play.
So the Seahawks, after blocking the New Orleans field goal attempt, take it over at the 19, march all the way down the field in a 12-yard or 12-play drive, and Warner skipping off with some assistance to the sideline. We told you about the knee surgery and playing, of course, today with that sore right ankle as well. Johnson with a point after attempt, up and good. He's 27 for 27 in the PAT department this season, and he's given Seattle a 7-3 lead. Well, what a turnaround here in the first half, as Seattle apparently on the ropes as New Orleans move the ball at will, but the Seahawks take it all the way down, and here's the clincher.
This is the clincher. It's an over-top play to Kurt Warner. There's the leap. When he comes down, I think he hits that right ankle again on that turf, the same way he injured it in the first quarter. And after watching him walk off, I would doubt that you're going to see him much more in this game, especially if they're able to control the ball, because you know in thoroughbred racing, and that's what Kurt Warner is to this team, you can't run when you even have a little nick. He's not a plow horse like one of us defensive linemen that you can play with an injury.
Warner with a touchdown run, capping that drive that covered 81 yards, just over 4.5 minutes. And with 46 seconds remaining in the first half, Seattle goes on top for the first time. Norm Johnson, the 4-year veteran out of UCLA, who kicked the extra point, ready to tee it up and kick it off for Seattle. And deep for New Orleans are Eric Martin, the rookie, and Willie Tullis. Norm Johnson ready to kick it off, and they say Warner, though Gimpy going off the field, is all right and will be back in the second half. Kick comes down just at about the 1-yard line where Martin takes it. To the 15 and pinned at about the 19-yard line. The Saints will have a chance to try to get something on the board with only 40 seconds remaining. John Kaiser down on coverage for Seattle, making the stop. 19-yard return of the kickoff for Eric Martin. Martin has returned kicks for an average of almost 25 yards every time he's fielded a kickoff. 69 yards his longest this season. He's the rookie out of LSU, the all-time Southeastern Conference reception leader. Meanwhile, Kurt Warner still trying to walk off that gimpy right ankle.
And talking with their trainers, they said that he worked out harder than anybody they'd ever seen to come back off that knee injury he had last season.
Mark it at the 20 for the Saints. Wilson retreats to pass. Looks like they're trying to set up a screen, but somebody's missing. Wilson scrambles, finally completes it to Wilson. He's out of bounds. Wayne Wilson at the 25-yard line. 5-yard gain. Randy Edwards chugged him out at that point.
Want to see, and the Seahawks have got to be really excited about being in this game. You talked about the dominance that the Saints had. You take away that 181-yard drive, and you don't have much offense on the Seahawks, so they have to be excited. Their defense, we talked about one of the keys of the game, of course, was their defense keeping them in there and setting the tempo, and they really did set the tempo with that blocked field goal.
Dave Wilson, stats on the day so far. Saints coaches say if he has success early, he is better. He's been erratic this season. Completes this one out of bounds to Goodlow. 25 seconds remaining. Goodlow goes out of bounds after picking up the Saint first down. Dave Brown on the prevent coverage, not wanting to give him too much room, plenty of cushion there. He didn't want him to go deep, and he'll let him have the short reception.
Now that's exactly what it was. It was a prevent distance. You can see number 22, Dave Brown, in your screen. He's just dropping back, not wanting to get beat deep. There's Goodlow, pulls up on an out pattern. Good concentration, and there's the closing speed of Dave Brown. I do want to give him credit again because he is a wonderful player.
6 defensive backs in from Seattle. Wilson being chased and dropped. And they'll mark the ball dead at that point. It went on out of bounds, but it'll be dead at that point. Randy Edwards bearing down on Wilson from behind, made a leap and collared him right at that point. Another Seattle sack of Wilson. 4th sack of the first half for the Seahawks.
And they have really done well in their sacks. The last 2 weeks they have had 13 sacks, this Seahawk team. They completely run around the outside. You can see Wilson just has no one to throw to. It's all the way around the outside, and they're lucky they didn't call this a fumble because it looked as if it was. They point right there. You can see the referee signaling saying no, the ball was down right there. But they better be careful because now the Seahawks are going to have the opportunity to call a timeout and maybe get the fair catch or the fair catch with the field goal situation.
I think the Seahawks have used all their timeouts, Dave, but the Saints called this one. And it looks like they're going to try to get something on the board. The Seahawks with 4 quarterback sacks so far in the first half. And the Seahawks have come from behind here to take a 7-3 lead with only 18 ticks of the clock remaining before halftime.
I have to mention, you see the fellow in the white shirt there, that's an old trainer friend of mine, John, and he just said, be sure to mention me so my wife sees me back in Seattle. So I did my duty to him.
Saints have 2 timeouts remaining, and the Seahawks have expended their timeouts. They did that on that drive, you'll remember, that netted the touchdown, the 1-yard run by Kurt Warner. Those 4 sacks by the Seahawks in the first half have netted 26 yards and losses for New Orleans. It'll be 2nd and 17 here from the Saint 26-yard line. Wilson's in the shotgun. He's got Merkins, Goodlow, and Martin, wide receivers, all in there, and is in trouble again. Got away from one man, but not the second. Is taken down by Jacob Green, the 5th sack in the first half by Seattle, and perhaps New Orleans ought to let the clock run out and go on back to the dressing room.
Absolutely, they ought to let the clock run out. Of course, the clock does stop on a quarterback's sack, but they are collapsing the pocket. They're coming all the way around, and Joe Nash, number 72, is doing an excellent job of getting that forward pressure on the quarterback into the pocket so it doesn't allow Wilson to step up and run through. Now watch this sack. You'll see Joe Nash in the center of your screen, and around the outside come the 2 defensive ends, but see, he has no place to step up. There's Nash.
And the Saints do let the clock, when it starts again, run down to halftime, and they'll call it quits and try to regroup after dominating the first 2 quarters of play. They saw a blocked field goal turn the game around. As the Seahawks took it, they drove 81 yards for the go-ahead touchdown. And as we come to intermission, it's Seattle that has the lead 7-3 here over the New Orleans Saints.
Not one penalty has really hurt either team in this early part of the first half.
Norm Johnson set to kick it off for Seattle. Tullis and Martin will be deep for the Saints. 7-3 Seattle, scoring just inside the 2-minute mark in the first half to take the lead. The Seahawks just a game out of first place in the AFC West, trailing the Raiders and the Broncos, who are tied for first. They are 5-4. The Saints are 3-6. Taken deep in the end zone and not taken out of there by Martin. Martin elects to keep it in there, and the Saints will put it in play from their own 20-yard line.
But Tom, if you're a Saints fan, what you have to do right now as the Saints team, you have to come out and establish the things that worked well for you. Dave Wilson has got to come out here, take charge of this team, and direct it downfield. And he's been successful with the passing game. You can see the percentage there, 7 of 9 attempts. So he ought to go back to that. If you're a Seahawk fan, of course, you have to call in the great defense, the Kenny Easleys, the Dave Browns, John Harris, of course, Terry Taylor back there with the big turnovers.
High formation for the Saints, 1st and 10. Tyrone Anthony and Wayne Wilson are the running backs. Here's the pitch to Anthony. Gets back to the line of scrimmage, perhaps across the 20, gain of about 1 yard on the play. As the Seattle defense, especially the linebackers, Schultz, Young, and Butler reacting to the running play, coming up quickly to make the stop.
Well, the Saints coaches felt that they had to establish a run, but I think they found out that they have established the fact that they can't run on this Seahawk team well, and now they're going to have to throw the ball.
New Orleans beginning the second half with LaFari Perro, Court, Williams, and Brock on the offensive line. 2nd and 9 for New Orleans. Brenner and Tice, 2 tight ends in the game. Wilson, the quarterback. Eric Martin, the wide receiver. Anthony and Wilson, the running backs. Screen to Anthony. Broken up, and a big loss in the play as Bruce Schultz just ran over the intended blocker and made a nice hit on the play and diagnosed that one immediately. Schultz with an excellent defensive play.
Yes, he had coverage on the back as he comes out of the backfield. Tyrone Anthony, number 22, so he has coverage all the way. This most of the time you can even see Joe Nash, number 72, turning thinking it's a screen. There's a block in the back. It could have been a clip on Joe Nash, but a great play by Bruce Schultz.
Schultz just getting by Ralph Williams, who tried to slow him down and really couldn't at all. 11-yard loss on the play. 3rd and 20 now for the Saints, who are backed up to their own 10-yard line.
And this is usually where Kenny Easley comes into play if it's a pass.
Handoff comes to Anthony, who gets back to the 15-yard line, and not much more than that. It wasn't Anthony, it was in fact Wayne Wilson. But Seattle not fooled on the play, and a little extracurricular activity here.
Well, that was interesting because the Saints felt that they were holding them up to hit them, but I felt that the Seahawks were just trying to keep them from picking up a little bit, falling forward. They were holding him up. They weren't hurting them.
Well, it'll be way short of the first down. And a 4th down situation coming up for the Saints. Brian Henson will come on to punt. And Henson will be deep in his own territory. His one punt covered 23 yards. He punted that one inside the 20, put it out of bounds at about the 13, his only other attempt in the game today. Scansey in single safety for the Seahawks, but you see Hanson standing right at his goal line.
And they're coming after him this time.
Big rush. Hanson gets it away. Scansey quickly called for a fair catch at the last moment and took it at his own 49.
And they wanted an illegal fair catch signal. That's what they're signaling there, because you have got to wave from right to left with that hand up there. You can't make that last second just desperation wave. So they might have had a legitimate claim, the Saints. Now let's look at the tail end of this. Now you have to wave it from left to right. Well, that was awfully short.
Brett Maxey there breathing down his neck as Scansey made the fair catch. Punt covered 36 yards. Great field position for the Seahawks. They have it at their own 49-yard line, their first possession of the second half. Seahawks lead 7-3, 12:57 to play third quarter. Hand off to Warner to midfield, gain of about 1, maybe 2 on the play.
Well, you have to give a lot of credit to the trainers, because obviously they did something with Kurt Warner's ankle, because he ran very well that time. I almost didn't think he would come back in the second half and play. His ankle looked that sore.
It's almost like when he runs on it, it's not so bad. It's when he stops or is walking that it seems to hurt him the most. Warner starting in the second half in the backfield. Eric Lane comes in. Remember, Dornick has gone down with an injury. Margin and Turner, the wide receivers. Essink, Bailey, Bush, Pratt, Kreider along the front. The tight end is Charlie Young.
Ball.
Wide open, he threw it behind him. Had a man wide open, Lane out of the backfield, and threw it behind him.
Well, it's amazing how many times the Saints are shooting those linebackers, and Kurt Warner that time had to pick up Ricky Jackson, number 57. That's quite a mismatch, but the Saints are trying to get a lot of pressure on Dave Craig. They have been able to get the pressure where they've collapsed that pocket around him. Even though they haven't gotten the sack, they are putting the pressure on him.
Byron Walker and Paul Scansey come into the game for Seattle on 3rd and 8. 4 wide receivers, 2 to each side. Shotgun formation for Craig. Got a man wide open, complete. It'll be close to the first down as the reception was made by Eric Lane. Johnny Poe stopped him right at the first down marker. Let's take a long look at it.
You called that Johnny Poe, number 25, really made a stop on him, and he was fighting not to allow that defender, that offensive back, to run out there and pick up that first down. It looks as if it's going to be about a foot shy, bring up a 4th down on the 42-yard line of the Saints.
7-yard gain on the play, but it comes up a little short of the first down. Watch it again.
Now watch the strain here on the end of Johnny Poe. It's almost as if he knows where that red flag is. There's the pass out of the backfield. That's Eric Lane. Now Johnny Poe's number 25. Now look, he's trying to pull him from getting to that white line straight ahead.
Seattle's going to go for it. 4th and 1. Warner He's got the first down, knocked back, but I believe he got there in time. It's going to be close.
It's going to be very close.
His initial charge came right up to the first down marker. Then he was thrown back. It all depends on the spot.
You can see where that referee that's in the bottom of your picture just took off his hat. He marks the ball, the forward progress of where he feels that the running back penetrated. And it was a good play by both teams. A lot of strength in there. They went over Robert Pratt, number 61. And I played with him, and he is quite a load in there.
Pratt is a 12-year veteran out of North Carolina, 6'4", 250 pounds. Here's the measurement.
It's a game of inches, isn't it?
And that one in Chuck Knox's favor. He went for it, 4th and 1, and he just barely got it.
Now you can see the defensive line charts. They're just trying to get penetration. There's the seam right to the top of your picture. Warner sees it. Excellent vision in the hole. You know, we talk about that so much. So many running backs don't have that vision into the hole where they see the actual place where they should run.
New Orleans 41, first down Seahawks. Craig gets away from one man, then goes down. Play is dead. He was down. He was in the grass. Ricky Jackson, blitzing from his outside linebacker spot, is the leading sack man on this New Orleans team, but he hadn't had a sack the last 4 games. Gets a key one here.
Well, he has, as you said, he had 5.5 sacks coming into this game, but he has not been very effective before the last 3 or 4 games. They felt that they have to use him more, get him into the backfield. He is such a great athlete, great mobility, and he just came all the way around the block and got a hand on Mr. Dave Craig and tore him down.
First sack of the game for the Saints. Loss of 9, 2nd and 19 for Seattle. Ball right at midfield. Seattle leads 7-3, 10:52, third quarter. Craig again in trouble. Gets away from one man, drops the ball, and goes down. Bruce Clark, coming from his defensive end, Jack Del Rio, a blitzing linebacker, combining to disrupt the Seattle offense.
And Dave Craig realizes that the entire pocket just collapsed around him. There's Bruce Clark, number 75. They've got 2 sacks, and they're back-to-back sacks. So they have really changed the complexion of this situation. Now watch the pocket. When we talk about the pocket, that's the area where the quarterback stands. But you can see how it's just closing around him. There, actually, Bruce Clark almost kicked him down.
Del Rio was coming on a blitz. That one's a 7-yard loss. It'll be 3rd and 26. Are the Saints coming up with blitzes and stunts to try to get to Craig?
That's exactly what they're doing. Bringing Ricky Jackson, Jack Del Rio that time, trying to get that pressure on Dave Craig.
The shotgun for Craig, 3rd and a mile. He goes for a mile, and he's got it short of the first down. Largent on the reception. Got a big chunk of it back there.
He certainly did, and you have to give credit there to Steve Largent. He always seems to find the seam, find the spot where there's no defenders. He's had a tremendous career. A great guy. And by the way, he told me that he and Terry are expecting their 4th child tomorrow, so he's going to have a nice surprise when he gets back.
117 straight games for Largent. Needs only one more reception today to pass Fred Biletnikoff for 6th place on the all-time reception list for the National Football League. That one a 20-yard gain, but it'll be short of the first down and a 4th and 6 situation for the Seahawks. Punter Finzer in for Seattle with Tullis deep for New Orleans. Finzer's kick, aiming for the coffin corner, will not get there. Bounces into the end zone. It'll come out to the 20, where the Saints will put it into play after the 2 big sacks stall the Seattle drive. With producer George Finkel and director Frank Belcher, Tom Hammond and Dave Rowe from the Superdome. New Orleans with possession, 1st and 10. Earl Campbell plows his way ahead, close to the 25-yard line. Campbell down at the bottom of the pile. The Tyler Rose. Big play in that first half is when he was stopped short of the first down, or short of the touchdown. Looked like he had a clear path. Instead, he was stopped by Dave Brown short of the end zone, and a field goal blocked by the Seattle led to their touchdown 81 yards later. 5-yard gain, 2nd and 5 for the Saints. 25-yard line of New Orleans. Again, Campbell eluded one tackle, then went down just about at the line of scrimmage. Kenny Easley, the outstanding strong safety for the Seahawks, came up from that spot and took Campbell to the turf.
And he certainly has a nose for the ball. You can see he's playing on the line of scrimmage here. He's playing Hobie Brenner man for man, but he plays through it. Now watch this. He gets right there where Earl Campbell is. Cross and makes the tackle.
Loss of 1 on the play. Hokie Gaijan back, but not in uniform for the New Orleans Saints. Was injured in the first quarter. New England leading Indianapolis 10-6 in the third quarter. 3rd and 6 for the Saints from their own 24-yard line. Goodlow is in motion. Dave Wilson. Goodlow with a diving catch for the no. They say no, it's no good. They say he trapped it. And they're hot over on the Saints sideline. Goodlow thought he had it.
Well, he had to come back and dive for the ball, and the whole question is whether he got his hands underneath the ball. There's King Hill. He thinks he did. Of course, Goodlow says, I certainly did. But the referees, the man in the striped shirts, they say no.
Wilson and Goodlow discussing it. They thought he had a good reception, but the official who was right next to it said, no, he trapped it. So Hansen is in to kick for the Saints on 4th and 6. 2 punts. He's averaged 29.5 yards. Scansey, punt formation as Hansen gets set to boot it away. Nice, beautiful high kick. Scansey at his own 24. Still fighting. Finally taken down at the 32-yard line. Whitney Paul downfield on the coverage for the Saints. Beautiful kick that time. A 53-yarder. We'll be back in just a moment.
But you talked about the defensive play. You almost get the feeling that something's going to happen any moment here, a fumble or an interception.
1st and 10 for the Seahawks at their own 32-yard line. Warner, the tailback in the eye. Long count by Craig. Warner gets the handoff. Hit right at the line of scrimmage. Breaks through that tackle and comes up to the 35 for a 3-yard gain. Bruce Clark hit him initially. Then Wilkes put the hit on him after the gain. Other scores around the league. The Rams leading the Giants now 16-7. 26-yard field goal by Mike Lansford. And Minnesota and Green Bay. It's the Vikings in front. A 4-yard run by Darren Nelson, the most recent score there. 3-yard gain, 2nd and 7 for the Seahawks. They're at their own 35-yard line. They lead 7-3. 7 minutes to play in the third quarter from the Superdome. Craig has a man wide open, flag down. Lane coughs it up, but no, they say the ball was down. The ball was down, no fumble. Eric Lane made the reception. It's going to be a penalty on the play.
And the only way that you can stop today, Ricky Jackson, is to grab him. And this time they not only grabbed him, they tackled him with a face mask. The shooting linebacker, number 57 in your picture, you'll see him come up. Now he's on a blitz, and you can see the back trying to pick up. There's Robert Pratt. He realizes that he's beat. He just has to grab him and pull him on down. That's a tough block for Robert Pratt, number 61, to pick up somebody with that speed.
Number 61, offense, still 2nd down.
Well, excellent pictures that time by our crew here at the Superdome, which is the site of the Super Bowl this year in January, the 26th, I believe, here on NBC. Penalties in the day. The Saints penalty free so far. The Seahawks 5 for a total of 35 yards. 2nd down, 17 yards to go. 25-yard line of Seattle. Seahawks lead by 4 points. Clock ticks down inside the 7-minute mark in the third quarter. Flags down again. Gain on the play by Warner up to the 30-yard line. I saw some premature movement. Who caused it?
I believe that was caused by Dave Craig, but he will not be the guilty person. He came up there again with that voice inflection. Most teams, they go on a certain rhythm. And he came up, changed the rhythm that time, gave him a loud hut, and drew him offside.
Number 94, defense, illegal motion. Number 28, offense, penalties offset, still 2nd down.
Well, Warner was prematurely in motion for Seattle. Wilkes jumped offside for New Orleans. They cancel each other out.
Now, you would think a guy from Penn State like me would know when the ball's supposed to be snapped. Kurt, you got to stay on sides.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the obligatory Penn State promo for the day.
We're number 1.
2nd and 17 again for Seattle, operating from the 25-yard line. Warner. Gets across to the 27, perhaps got 2 on the play.
Tom, I get the feeling as I watch this game, you would never think And this is one of the things that the Seahawks players told me. You would never think that this Saints team is 3 wins, 6 losses, because they have played a very good Seattle team very, very well today. They've come out, they played with a lot of motion. Their defense is keeping them in the game. If they had anything on offense, they'd be probably ahead in this game.
Chuck Knox, meanwhile, needs a win to stay in that race in the AFC West. He's only a game behind. Seahawks 3 of 8 on third down conversions today. Turner, Franklin, Largent, Walker, 4 wide receivers on 3rd and 14. Craig under pressure. Nice catch, backing up on the play for a first down and a gain way into Saint territory.
Boy, and Dave Craig is excited. We see, I believe that was Paul Scansey.
Scansey, it is. Scansey made the reception backing up and was shaken up, perhaps not the wind out of him for a moment, but it'll be a long gainer and a first down for Seattle.
Well, you said it, Scansey was backing up. You'll see that Craig, the pocket is again collapsing. Scansey's running down there, has to almost turn around, but it's the first time that they have really challenged this Saints team deep, and they came up with big results.
32 yards in results and a first down just shy of the Saint 40-yard line. Ground Chuck has evolved into Air Knox throughout the 1985 season, not by design so much as necessity, I think. The Seahawks turning the ball over a lot and getting behind early and having to go to the air much of the season. Craig. Deep. Incomplete. Intended for Turner and knocked away by Waymer.
Very, very good coverage on that play as Waymer was running just man for man out there with Darrell Turner, number 81. Had him well covered.
And there is Turner, who had gone deep. Franklin is in the game to replace Turner.
It's interesting that Craig is coming out now and challenging the deep secondary of the Saints. It's almost as if they've changed their game plan.
Looking for a touchdown pass today to keep that string alive.
And you know who holds the big time. That's Johnny Yu.
Johnny Yu is about 20 ahead of Dave Craig, but Craig is in second place. Going to the air again on 2nd and 10. This one complete on a swing pass out of the backfield to Lane. Eric Lane comes to the 35-yard line where he stopped after a gain of about 5. Terry Hogue, strong safety, playing with a little bit of a neck injury, comes up to make the tackle.
You know, this is how you're supposed to block this blitz. What you do is you try to push him around the back of the pocket. You can see him now. He's totally ineffective. That's Ricky Jackson again, the man who's blitzed so many times. You want to run him around and let that quarterback step up so he avoids that pressure.
4-yard gain on the play. The reception to Lane. It'll be 3rd and 6 for the Seahawks, trying to keep this drive alive and add to their 7-3 lead. 4 minutes to play, 3rd quarter. Turner, Franklin, Scansey, Largent. Shotgun for Craig. Largent. Did he hold it? No, incomplete.
But he almost did hold it. What a great effort by Steve Largent. You know, all the accolades that you can say about a great receiver have been said about him, and he stretches out there. He almost comes down. When his elbows hit, it jars the ball loose, but it was a great effort by a great receiver.
4-time Pro Bowler, 10-year veteran out of Tulsa. Other scores: Cincinnati leads New England in front of Indianapolis. And Philadelphia still shutting out Atlanta.
Watch the fake.
Fake on the punt. Pass is going to be intercepted. Intercepted by Tullis, who was back in anticipating a punt. Instead, he comes up with a tipped ball in the interception, takes it all the way back to the 40. Dave Brown is the man that let it fly. He was in there for Finzer. Dave Brown was the intended receiver as Finzer let it go. Finzer in punt formation. The fake by Seattle does not pay off, and Tullis picks it off, returns it 22 yards. Here it is again.
Now there's the fake back there. You see Finzer just hides it around his back. Now he's going to try to pick it up. He's going to try to pick up his receiver, but there's really no one out open. It absolutely did not fool the Saints. They played that very, very well. You would almost thought that they knew it was coming.
Merkins is the man that tipped it, and then it was intercepted by Tullis. Now we saw the blocked field goal by the Seahawks light them and enable them to go ahead. Let's see if this big play by the Saint defense can help New Orleans regain the lead.
Well, that's the man that's going to take care of it, whether it does or not. That's Dave Wilson. Now, we talked about him having to have confidence in his receivers. as we look at that Rams-Giants score. But back to him, he has to have confidence in his game plan. They say as the score will dictate his feelings out there, he starts to lose it a little bit when you get in the game and he gets behind. Now he looks almost like he has a halo around his helmet. That, of course, is the light ring.
Well, they are the Saints.
That's right. They are the Saints, aren't they?
Are you a little surprised at the fake by Chuck Knox? He's known as a very conservative coach, but going to the trickery here, it didn't pay off that time.
Well, they were close to being in field goal range, and he thought he'd just catch him, but it did surprise me a little bit because it absolutely did not fool the Saints.
3:36 remaining in the third quarter. New Orleans down 7-3. Put the ball in play from their own 39. Campbell, the only setback. Play action fake, complete pass to the tight end Brenner. Brenner all the way into Seattle territory and out of bounds at the 41-yard line. John Harris takes him out of bounds there, but a reception, first down, Wilson to Brenner. Let's pause now briefly for station identification. This is the NBC Television Network.
This is KING-TV, Channel 5, Seattle.
Tom Hammond and Dave Rowe at the Superdome in New Orleans. Bun Phillips, New Orleans Saints driving, trailing Seattle 7-3 with 3.5 minutes remaining in the third quarter. That last gain, 21 yards on the reception to Brenner. Here's a handoff to Wayne Wilson, fights his way for a yard to the 40. Now let's go to Bob Costas at NFL 85.
Tom, New England may be on their way to their 5th consecutive win. They lead now 17-6 against the Colts after this Grogan pass to Irving Fryer. It covers 5 yards, set up by a fumble recovery by the Patriots' Johnny Rembert. So they lead at 17-6 in the third as they go for their 5th in a row.
Thank you, Bob. As the Patriots continue perhaps their winning ways, one of the hottest teams in the NFL right now. Here you saw the score with Seattle clinging to a 4-point lead. Wilson in trouble. He goes down. Another Seattle sack.
And Tom, that time his offensive line gave away the fact that it was a pass. It was obviously a pass. You can see I think that's Terry. No, that's not. It's Jackson in there. But the line sat back so quickly he had no one to pass to. He had a lot of time. His line picked up. There's 58 coming near screen. 56, 42 is in there. Keith Simpson. There was just no place for him to throw the ball. And that really hurt this offensive drive.
The corners, Simpson and Jackson, were coming on the blitz. It pays off for the sack, the 6th of the day for the Seahawks. That one went for a loss of 12, and it's 3rd and 22 for New Orleans. Wilson steps up in the pocket, lets it fly, incomplete, a little too high, intended again for Brenner. Greg Gaines, the linebacker, back on coverage for the Seahawks. But once again, the sack takes New Orleans out of a drive.
And you look at Dave Wilson's face. You can read on his face the anguish and the upsetness. He realizes that he should have gotten rid of that ball as he comes over the sideline. He's just saying, Coach, I'm sorry. I should have thrown it.
Hansen will be in punt formation for New Orleans on 4th and 22. Scansey is deep for Seattle. There are the figures on Hansen this afternoon. There's Scansey deep for the Seahawks. He's at his own 10. Again, a nice punt from Hansen. This one, though, is going to go right into the end zone. When it bounced, is it going to be short of the end zone? I don't know if it bounced in the end zone or not, but I believe they're going to mark it, yes, as a touchback. They say it hit in the end zone.
It looked to me as if it bounced right on the line. And, of course, if it breaks that plane of the end zone, it's a touchback.
Scores around the league. A field goal by Gary Anderson, 27 yards. Pittsburgh over Kansas City, 30-14. Detroit on the board against the Bears. Eddie Murray, 34-yard field goal. And New England and Indianapolis now 24-6. 77-yard punt return by Irving Fryer of the New England Patriots. 1st and 10 here for the Seattle Seahawks after that punt just barely sailed into the end zone. A 52-yarder from Hansen. Warner eludes one tackle, finally goes out of bounds after a gain of 3. Now to Bob Costas at NFL 85.
All right, Tom, on their way to their 5th consecutive win. The Patriots now lead Indianapolis 24-6 in the third at Foxborough. The most recent score, a 77-yard punt return for a TD by Irving Fryer, who earlier had caught a touchdown pass, and it's 24-6 Patriots. Tom.
All right, thank you, Bob. The Patriots are indeed a hot team, and Fryer receiving a touchdown pass and then coming right back with that 77-yard punt return.
That's his second one of the year.
2nd and 7, Seahawks from their own 23. Seahawks lead 7-3, 1:56 to play in the third quarter. Hand off again to Kurt Warner. Picking his way through traffic, comes across the 25 to the 27. James Geathers pins him to the turf there. Geathers, second-year veteran out of Wichita State, a big one, 6'7", 267 pounds. Kurt Warner has taken a beating and playing on a gimpy ankle, but still hanging in there. He's carried it 15 times, but only 32 yards, as New Orleans has been, for the most part, tough against the run.
They certainly have, and Kurt Warner has been the workhorse back there, and whatever rushing yardage they have, he has.
Warner out of the game on 3rd and 4 as the Seahawks flood. 3 receivers to the right side, another to the left. Shotgun for Craig. Over the middle, complete to Largent. He's got the first down to the 40. Brett Maxey coverage makes the stop, but Largent again finding that seam in the middle of the field. Craig hit him for the first down, and Steve Largent just moves into 6th place. 590 receptions. He passes Fred Biletnikoff.
And I played with Fred Biletnikoff. Steve Largent continually finds the seam. He just seems to find an open space, kind of drifts into it. He doesn't have the blazing speed, 4.3, 4.4 in the 40-yard dash, but he just finds, you can see nobody in the picture. It's just like he is almost invisible out there, and he just finds the open spot.
14-yard gain for number 80, the wily 10-year-old veteran from Tulsa, Steve Largent. Craig again to pass, and again has a man open. That is the tight end, Charlie Young, on a crossing pattern. Gains about 9 before Scott Pallure drags him down. Craig now finding receivers open against this New Orleans defense. Back to Steve Largent for just a moment. He's now gained 9,453 yards, including his last reception. Biletnikoff, if we go back to him, had 8,974. Largent, 9,453 yards. He takes his helmet off, and so we can have a look at him as he comes into 6th place all-time in the NFL. That's the end of the third quarter of play. We've got a timeout here through 3 periods of play as the Seahawks begin to click through the air.
Well, the dominance, of course, in the passing game towards the
Seahawks, as they've hit Largent several times, and they have also gone to their other wide receivers to pick up a big advantage there, over almost 100 yards difference.
Seahawks with a 7-3 lead as we begin the fourth quarter. 2nd and 1 for Seattle. And first down yardage is Kurt Warner behind good blocking in the offensive line. Plows his way ahead into New Orleans territory and picks up the first down. Quick recap of scores now. Third quarter, Cincinnati leads Cleveland by 7. 1-point lead for the Giants, who've come from behind to take over the lead against the Rams. They're in the third. Tampa Bay shutting out the Cardinals in the fourth quarter. Also a third quarter score, New England airing it out against the Colts. 14-6, Minnesota leads Green Bay. And Buffalo continues to whitewash Houston in the third. First down, Seattle from the 49. Craig again completes it across the middle. This one complete to Darrell Turner. Stopped immediately after the reception. Short gain of about 4 yards on the play. Glenn Redd, the linebacker, made the stop.
And Thomas, those scores punched up there, I can hardly stop my emotion because Pete Axtell might finally get his wish and see Tampa Bay win. He's picked them so many times, and they do have a 10-point lead over St. Louis, so go Axe.
He hung with them today on one of his picks, as a matter of fact, and they're shutting out St. Louis 10-0. 5-yard gain on the last play. It'll be 2nd and 5 for the Seahawks. Ball at the New Orleans 44. Warner, couple of yards at best. New Orleans continues to play tough against the run. It's been in the passing game that Seattle has made yardage today. Chicago en route to another win. Looks like the Bears will stay unbeaten. 21-3 over Detroit. Wonder how the refrigerator is figured in that one.
I wonder what his passing percentage is. That's about the only thing he hasn't done so far.
Someone on NFL 85, might have been Larry King or perhaps Bob Costas or Pete Axtell, said that the next thing for William Perry, the refrigerator, was going to be an option pass, that they'd used him every other way but that. Kurt Warner has carried 17 times for 36 yards. Let's see if he gets the call here, 3rd and 3. He won't, because Craig from the shotgun looks to the air. Got a man open, Largent, diving catch. Gets up again, but is covered before he can get any more yardage. It'll be a first down, Seahawks at the 25.
I talked about his elusiveness as Dave Craig comes up and congratulates him, but he seems to find the seam. Now, this is just like the catch that he had in the first part. Now, you don't see the blazing speed off the line, but when you run your patterns and you have that coordination with you and the quarterback, you get open. Now, look at there. No one in the picture. A great catch. It's just about like the one he missed before, but you just can't say enough about Steve Largent.
18-yard gain on that one, and Largent moves past Harold Carmichael into 5th place now, moving up the ladder. He and Dave Craig have a special affinity. They practice those timing patterns for hours after the regular team workouts in. Give to Warner. Inside the 20, fights his way to the 16-yard line. Watlett, coming from the free safety, made the stop on Warner. Warner with a good gain on the play, keeps the Seattle drive alive.
Let's watch the blocking on this. We talked about the elusiveness of Kurt Warner, but now watch. There's a double down there. They pick up the linebacker. Now watch Warner jump back, and there comes Watlett. Now he's just going to bounce off Kurt Warner. And that's probably about the longest run that Kurt Warner has had today, because he's had very, very hard yardage to pick up.
He has indeed earned every inch of that yardage he's garnered today. He is the tailback in the I formation behind Dave Craig on a 2nd and 2. And it is Warner again. Hit at the line of scrimmage and dropped, perhaps a loss of a yard or so. Watlett again coming from the free safety spot, smelled that run out all the way. Tampa Bay adding to its lead with a field goal over St. Louis. And 17-6, Minnesota over Green Bay.
I wonder what Pete Axtell was going to say next halftime that he gets a chance with Bob Costas. Of course, we're after the game on NFL 85 Report. He's going to be excited.
Here at the Superdome, we have 11 minutes to play. Seattle leads 7-3. 8th play of the drive coming up, and 3 yards to go for the first down. Craig in the shotgun. Completes it. It'll be good for the first down as Lane fights his way to the 5-yard line. Red and Watlett hanging on for dear life as Eric Lane plows down to the 5 and perhaps was shaken up on the play.
Yes, Eric Lane banged his head on the turf here, but I was watching Ricky Jackson that time as he came off the line trying to jam Steve Largent. Just never was able to stay with him, and we'll be right back after these messages. You have to have great athletes anytime you want to win in this game, and Ricky Jackson, number 57, certainly has been. But watch the 2 blocks here. There's 61 Pratt and Edwin Bailey. Great blocks to free up Eric Lane to get him down inside the 5-yard line, Tom.
That's where they are now. 1st and goal from the 5. 2 tight ends in the game. Give is to Warner, threading his way through black-shirted St. Tacklers and gets a couple of yards to the 3. Edwin Bailey again with a good block from the left guard spot. That was the 12th play of this drive, which began back on the Seahawk 20.
They really are moving the ball well now against this same team, but the Saints have not quit yet, so it's still a ball game. If they can hold them here, hold them to a field goal, it's really an important part for them.
7-3 is the score. Seahawks lead. 9 minutes, 51 seconds to play in the football game from the Superdome.
Dave Craig has been very effective here with rollout-type passings.
From the 3, 2nd and goal. Lane and Warner are the setbacks. Man in motion was Dan Ross. Here's Warner. Hit and dropped. Good play by Watlett. Watlett, the man with the blood you see on his football pants, coming up from that safety spot and bringing down a difficult man to tackle, Kurt Warner.
We talked about the blood, but watch number 49 get into your picture here. Kurt Warner's got 2 blockers out. He makes a nice cut inside, and there comes Watlett, number 49. Now, the reason he has the blood on his uniform is because he doesn't play with elbow pads. And anytime you're on this turf, you always have what they call rug burns. You see the other elbow pads there on 57 and 73. They both have elbow pads, but Watlett evidently does not.
That was a loss of 1. It'll be 3rd and goal from the 4. Crucial play coming up. 4 receivers in for Seattle. Turner, Scansey, Largent, and Walker. Shotgun formation, Craig. Looks to the end zone. In trouble. He's sacked. Big defensive play that time by the New Orleans defense. Jim Wilkes, number 94, defensive end, with the crucial sack.
Well, we talked about the emotion playing part in this game, and it just did there. Their secondary was able to keep the coverage on them, and number 94, Wilkes, just collapsed in the zone and brought up a field goal try. Of course, after seeing Chuck Knox fake that punt, I don't know what he might do.
Now here's Norm Johnson to attempt the field goal, and he has been struggling lately. He's got a new holder, backup quarterback Gail Gilbert. They'll spot it at about the 22. It's up. It is. 32-yard attempt. Good. So the field goal by Johnson from 32 yards extends the Seattle lead. We'll be right back. Tom Hammond and Dave Rowe from the Superdome, 47,365 on hand. They've just seen the Seahawks take a 10-3 lead on the 32-yard field goal by Johnson. This is Tullis taking the kickoff and bringing it upfield to about the 15, where he's hit and dropped. That on the coverage, Eugene Robinson for Seattle after an 11-yard return by Tullis. That last scoring drive by the Seahawks, culminating in the 32-yard field goal, covered 66 yards in 15 plays and consumed 8:48 on the clock.
There's a very telltale graphic. They've gained 8 yards in their last 4 offensive possessions. Now that's not 4 downs. That's the last 4 times that they've had the ball. Dave Wilson has got to get something cranked up here.
He'll begin from his own 15-yard line. 1st and 10 for the Saints. 8 minutes to play in the game, and the Seahawks lead by 7. Wilson on the out pattern, saw good coverage, I believe, and just let it sail out of bounds. He threw it away. Eric Martin was the intended receiver, but great position that time by the defense of Seattle.
Yes, Dave Brown, number 22, had that one read all the way. He knew it was a quick out, and he played it, and believe it or not, Dave Wilson is very lucky he threw it out of bounds.
Brown had dead aim on it, didn't he?
Yes, he certainly did.
There you see Brown, the second leading active interceptor with 43 for his career, and Harris not far behind with 38. This secondary, the starters for Seattle, have 113 career interceptions. Wilson on the outlet pass, gets it up for a first down. Brenner fights his way across that first down yardage and is finally taken to the turf by Keith Simpson and Greg Gaines, but he got enough for the New Orleans first down.
Well, Hobie Brenner, number 85, has been really the essence of their passing game today. It's a continual dump off. Wilson is dumping off to Brenner, and Brenner's picking up 10 to 12, 15 yards, but they have not challenged this secondary. Either they have great respect or else they don't have the confidence in their own wide receivers.
That one covered 12 yards and a New Orleans first down at the 27-yard line. Wilson hit just as he released it, picked off by a Seattle man, and it's going to be a touchdown for Seattle. Jacob Green picked it up. He's become a specialist in that. He returned a fumble, 70-some yards for a touchdown. That time he picked off the interception and went in for the score. Watch Easley now as you see the replay. Bum Phillips can't believe it.
And here comes Easley all the way around the backside. He comes with his speed. It's a safety blitz. Now watch, just as he's about to throw it, he grabs his arm. And there comes Jacob Green, number 79. The right man in the right place at the right time. Another touchdown.
Well, the last time he went 79 yards with a fumble, I believe, against New York. This time he picks off the pass and takes it all the way in for the Seattle touchdown.
And a lot of his teammates were kidding about that 79-yard run. I know he was excited about only having to run 19 yards because when he ran 79 yards, they said he barely made it into the end zone.
Bum Phillips still can't believe it as Norm Johnson tries to add the extra point. And the extra point is good. So Seattle getting the safety blitz from Easley, and the interception for a touchdown goes up 17-3. Director Frank Belmont right on the money with these replays today. Watch this one again, the safety blitz. Wilson coughs it up, and Green is Johnny on the spot.
He certainly is. Carries it in 19 yards for a score. You know he's got to be excited. As I said, he didn't have to run the 79-yarder that he has run before.
We said before the game that the Seahawk defense would have to make things happen. The defense has indeed done just that. Kickoff by Johnson deep in the end zone, taken by Martin. He stays in the end zone. They'll spot it at the 20. Next Sunday, join NBC Sports for an exciting football doubleheader. The early game will feature either the Pittsburgh Steelers as they take on the Houston Oilers, or the Miami Dolphins against the Indianapolis Colts, plus other regional action. Then the second half of our doubleheader will showcase either the Cincinnati Bengals against the Los Angeles Raiders, or the New England Patriots as they battle the Seattle Seahawks. It all gets underway at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time with NFL 85 and host Bob Costas here on NBC Sports. Well, Wilson now facing an uphill battle. His Saints are down 17-3. First and 10 from the 20 for the Saints. Wilson in trouble again, finds an outlet to Tice. Tice gets about 5 yards before he's stopped by Bruce Schultz. Well, we hope you'll watch next week as we bring you all the NFL action. Now let's check the scores from today, and as we run through them, we'll remind you that next week on NFL 85, Pete Rozelle will be the guest. They're going to have it in the studio with a live audience, and it'll be Pete Axthelm, Bob Costas, and Ahmad Rashad going one-on-one with Pete Rozelle. Next week, NFL 85. There's almost another interception. He was batted around. Keith Butler had a chance to cradle it. Couldn't quite hold it. It goes incomplete. Wayne Wilson, the intended receiver.
And Tom, the fans are upset. They should be, because this Saint offense, the defense has not lost a game from today. They just have not been able to do anything on the offense. They have not moved the ball well. There's, of course, Pete Axthelm's score.
Continue to cycle through the NFL scores from today's action. That Saint defense has played well today, but the offense has sputtered, and that, of course, has been the story for the Saints through most of the season.
And of course, I think the fans right now would like to see either Richard Todd or Bobby Hebert, the great heralded young player out of the USFL here.
Instead, it's Wilson in shotgun, 6 defensive backs for Seattle. Brenner made almost a catch with a man all over him. Keith Simpson was draped around him, got a hand in there, it appeared, to bat the ball away, and it'll set up a 4th down situation for New Orleans as Wilson pleads for help.
Oh, he certainly is pleading for us, but look at the pressure on him. That's Jeff Bryant, number 77, and of course, I think that Wilson just wanted a pass interference. He's called, like you say, he's pleading for anything here.
Well, Bum Phillips is fairly embattled here in New Orleans. They say that Bum should be replaced. He's in his 5th year, but he's told his assistant coaches he will not quit a loser.
Well,
so some people say he'll resign. Others say he should be fired, but Bum says he's not going to quit.
Well, one thing about Bum Phillips, he's a very, very likable person, as is Chuck Knox, 2 of the probably the most well-liked coaches in the league here today.
Hansen has done a great job punting today. He's 41-yard average. This one taken by Scansey at the 30. Gets another about 7 yards on the return before he's stopped by the coverage team of the New Orleans Saints. 46-yard punt by Henson, who's had a good afternoon for the Saints.
They play as a unit. There's not 2 or 3 great players. They're all good players. There are some great players, but when they play as an 11-man unit. Each person does his respective job, and it all comes together, and it makes it's like making a cake. You can't do without one of the ingredients.
As you see, the Seahawks have dominated the second half. They have it here, 1st and 10. They'll try to work on the clock a little bit now with the lead, and Kurt Warner is the man they'll go to keep it on the ground. Ricky Jackson stopped Warner that time after he gained 2 or 3 yards. The clock ticks down toward the 6-minute mark as we watch the replay.
Well, there's Ricky Jackson now. He has to not give ground. He has to shed that block and get back off of it, and he does a good job. He is a quality football player, and he's someone that this Saints team can build around. They do need some quality football players. That's how you win in this league, with good players.
Ricky Jackson, the Pro Bowl man, who is the leader on this team in both tackles and sacks. Played in the Pro Bowl 1984, had 12 sacks last year, has 6.5 in the 85 season. 2nd and 6 for the Seahawks. Again, it's Warner that gets the call, and he's tripped up for a loss on the play. Terry Hogue, the strong safety in run coverage. Glenn Redd, also the linebacker. And again, the Saint defense is very impressive against the run. That was a weak point for them the last 2 seasons.
And this is an example of that cohesiveness that we talked about on the Seahawks defense, but this is the Saints. You'll see the force man come up, turn Kurt Warner back inside. There he stumbles a little bit, but the good recovery. There's number 58, Glenn Redd, coming in there. That's what you do when you play as a unit. You don't press and try to make the big play yourself. Everybody plays their respective job.
Passing situation, 3rd and 7. Craig 19 of 26, 224 yards this afternoon. Goes deep here. Largent, he's got it. Down to the 15 of New Orleans. Frank Watlett beaten by Largent on the play.
How do you continually catch passes when you don't have great speed? But Steve Largent does it. I'm curious to see who he moves up in front of now. But Craig again goes to Steve Largent when he needs that big yardage. He knows he can come down with the ball. You very rarely see Steve Largent lose his concentration. He has great concentration. Even when he's falling, he continually looks right at the ball. Safety just safely cradles it in there. And he's going to have a lot to celebrate, not only having a 4th child tomorrow, but having a big day here today.
43-yard strike, Craig to Largent. who has moved up to number 5 all-time in career receptions in the National Football League here at the Superdome this afternoon. 1st and 10 from the 15. Seattle threatening to score again and break it wide open. Lane in motion. Craig to pass. End zone. Touchdown. Turner.
Well, you talked about it. They threatened to break it wide open, and they just did, as Darrell Turner, number 81, comes up with his 10th receiving touchdown catch. And he just breaks the seam. It's a zone coverage, and Craig just drills a strike in there. There's very little arch in the ball. It's just thrown right to Turner. He looks in, and there's his 10th touchdown catch. And I believe he only has about 23 catches so far in the year, but about every 2 or 3 he has a touchdown.
2-year veteran out of Michigan State, Darrell Turner, averaging a touchdown catch, as you said, Dave, about every 2.2 receptions coming into today's game, and upping that average again today. Here's Johnson. Hasn't missed an extra point all year. And this one, too, is good. So the Seattle Seahawks here in the 4th quarter have broken the game wide open and seem to be staying alive in that AFC West. They came in trailing the Raiders and the Broncos, who were tied for first by only a game, and they'll keep pace here against the Saints in the Superdome this afternoon.
And of course, Seattle, with that big game that they won the other day against the Raiders, they realized they had to come in here and win this to go up 6-4 because of the teams that they have to play. They have some hard games to play in the next several weeks.
And as you see, Dave, Craig kept his string alive. 28 straight games in which he has thrown a touchdown pass. As we mentioned earlier in the game, he's still, though he's number 2 all-time, is a long way shy of Johnny Unitas, who threw a touchdown pass in 47 straight games. Well, next Saturday, join NBC Sports as we travel to the tropical paradise of Maui, Hawaii, to bring you exclusive final round coverage of the Isuzu Kapalua International Golf Championship. NBC's own Lee Trevino joins a field of 46 of the world's greatest golfers, including defending champion and British Open winner Sandy Lyle, Masters champion Bernard Langer, Hal Sutton, Lanny Watkins, and Hale Irwin, all competing for top honors. Coming up next Saturday here on NBC Sports. Seattle ready to kick it deep again. Norm Johnson will tee it up for the Seahawks, about to extend their record to 6-4 on the season. Dave Craig, a good afternoon. 21 completions out of 28 attempts, 282 yards, just got the touchdown. Here's Martin in the end zone for New Orleans, brings it out of there, finds a little space on the right side for a moment. It closes down, and he stopped at about the 16-yard line. Bruce Schultz making the stop. Let's cycle through the scores again. Giants have come from behind. They lead the Rams now 24-16. And Chicago en route to another victory to stay unbeaten, the only unbeaten team in the NFL. And Tampa Bay, the only team that has not gotten a win, on the verge of doing just that. Green Bay leads Minnesota by 3. And 20-0 Buffalo over Houston. The Bills about to get their second win. And of course, NFL 85 will bring you up to date on all the scores from around the NFL as soon as our game is over. Spot the ball at the 17, 1st and 10 for the New Orleans Saints, who trail now 24-3. Wilson, he's sacked once again. Jeff Bryant got through from his defensive end spot, and he gets credit for his sack.
And you have to credit that sack to the secondary of the Seahawks. They had such excellent coverage that Wilson had no one to throw to, and you can see they have 7 sacks today. That gives them 20 sacks in the last 3 weeks.
21 sacks in the last 3 weeks, they say now, Dave. Well, a reception by Anthony as he fumbled the ball going out of bounds. They ruled it incomplete. Never had possession as he went out of bounds. Greg Gaines was stalking him. Hard to believe that this game has turned around so much that New Orleans really dominated the first part of the contest.
Well, it goes down to the big plays, and of course the Saints did not capitalize when they had it down on the 1-yard line. They got a field goal out of it, gave them 3 points, and then the big block that turned the entire emotion of the game. It gave the Seahawks new life. They drove down the field, and really the Saints have not recovered from that sting.
Seemed to be 2 big plays. The one where O'Campbell was stopped short of the touchdown when it appeared they would just run over the defensive player Brown and get the TD, and then the blocked field goal that followed, and that simply turned the game around. Wilson is sacked right at the 1-yard line, not quite a safety. Jeff Bryant poured in and made the stop. And the celebration is on as Bryant, 6'5", 270 pounds, 4 years out of Clemson, part of that potent front three for the Seahawks. 8th sack of the game.
I'm going to still say that they have 21, because I believe I read that they had 13 in the last 2 games. Now,
I'm sticking with you. You're a lot bigger.
All right, thank you. I don't care what George Finkel says. I believe that they only have 21 now.
Well, the Saints today have lost 60 yards via the sacks for the Seahawks, and that has been a huge factor in the game. Brian Hansen, he's been a bright spot for the Saints today, standing right at the end of the end zone and ready to boot it away on 4th down. Averaged 42. That 53-yarder was a beauty. This one not quite as good as the others have been. Taken by Scansey. Comes to the 35, looking for the wall. Can't find it. Is tripped up at the 35-yard line. 42-yard punt still from Hansen, and he is in a bright spot, as we said, for the New Orleans Saints this afternoon. Hope you'll join us next week. We'll begin with NFL 85 at 12:30. Pete Rozelle is going to be on the program, remember. And then here's the lineup of games coming your way on NBC next Sunday. Pittsburgh at Houston, Miami at Indianapolis, Buffalo at Cleveland. Those are the early games. In the 4 o'clock games, Cincinnati at the Raiders, New England at Seattle, San Diego at Denver, and Kansas City at San Francisco. Williams and Morris are the setbacks in the eye as you look at the coaches. Knox on the right and Phillips on the left. This is Morris. Good yardage for Morris down the sideline. Finally tripped up and taken out of bounds after he picked up the first down. Glenn Redd made the tackle. Looks to me as the Saints have already packed it in this game.
You are absolutely correct on that. The Saints they just are not playing with the same emotion that they played with. Their defense has played well today, and they don't deserve the fate that they're in right now. They don't deserve to be behind 24-3 with just 2.5 minutes left. They have played well enough that they should have scored points and win. Now, if I was that man, Bum Phillips, I'd try another quarterback right now. It can't hurt to try someone else. Bring in Richard Todd or bring in, of course, the great heralded Bobby Hebert.
Clock ticking down toward the 2-minute warning. Ball on the 13. First down for Seattle. Morris inside the 10. Fights his way down to about the 8-yard line. Wilkes falls on him there. And the 2-minute warning. We'll take a timeout. Seattle leads 24-3. Superdome. They hope to be back here on January 26th when the Super Bowl will be played on NBC. Chuck Knox discussing things with his assistants over on the sideline. It was a struggle for a while, but the Seahawks have broken it wide open here in the 4th quarter. And of course, he is the only coach to take 3 different teams to the playoffs. Remarkable record. This is his 13th year as a head coach in the NFL. Of his 12 previous teams, 9 of them have gone to the playoffs. 6 have been divisional champions.
Well, he certainly knows how to come in and take an organization and organize it. That's the best thing that he does, is he comes in, gets players playing in their right positions and utilizes his talent very, very effectively. That's a sign of a great coach when you take several teams to playoffs.
A reminder again as we look at some scores from around the NFL that you'll want to tune in to NFL 85 starting at 12:30 next Sunday afternoon, 12:30 Eastern time. And that's when Pete Rozelle will be on with the NFL 85 crew before a live studio audience in New York. Should be interesting as they go one-on-one with Pete Rozelle on NFL 85 a week from today. From the 8, Morris looks for blocking, can't find it. He goes down. Short gain, if any at all, on the play as the clock ticks down to 1:50. So far in the game, neither team able to run the ball with any effectiveness. Seahawks have rushed for 90 yards, the Saints for 87, but it's in the net passing yardage that the game is told. The Seahawks have passed for 256 yards, the Saints for only 69. Remember, those sacks by the Seahawks have been devastating to the Saints. So total yardage, Seattle 346 yards, the Saints 156. Seattle has 17 first downs to 10 for New Orleans. And on the scoreboard where it counts, it's a 24-3 Seattle lead. Third down play, and the give again is to Morris, and again not much there. Scott Ballure, the linebacker, who has a brother playing in the NFL. Several brother combinations represented today. Ballure is one, Tice is another, Hilgenberg is another.
And Tom, the thing that's so impressive about this Seattle team is that they have come out in the last 7 or 8 times that this Saints team has had the ball. They haven't allowed them 1 first down, and they haven't allowed them any net yardage.
Norm Johnson is going to try a field goal now. This is probably just to bolster his confidence a little bit, not trying to run up the score on New Orleans, but trying to get Johnson back in the groove and get his confidence back.
Well, you're only as good as your holder, as you see the clock tick down in the top. And he has to work with this holder in game situations.
26-yard attempt is good. Gilbert the holder, and Johnson makes it good. And that ups the score. It's now 27-3. NFL 85, all the scores and highlights coming up after this one, and they'll be telling the world that Seattle has exploded for 20 points in the fourth quarter to win going away 27-3 over New Orleans, as we look at the two highly paid, highly touted backup quarterbacks for the Saints, Richard Todd on the left and Bobby Hebert on the right.
And you might add highly unused, because Bobby Hebert has yet to see any action, and Richard Todd has seen very, very limited action. But I just don't understand why you don't bring him in and just give one of them a little bit of game experience.
Todd has, in fact, seen action in only 2 games this season. One was the opening game. Kickoff is fielded on the hop and taken back up to about the 16-yard line. Greg Gaines makes the stop. 17-yard return of the kickoff. Seattle has controlled the ball 11 and a half minutes of this fourth quarter, which is now ticking down to 22 seconds, as you see, and Dave Wilson back on the field. Why wouldn't you use, for instance, Bobby Hebert, who they say is the quarterback of the future?
I would give him some game experience. He's never taken a snap in this league. He needs to get out there and get some time to play. He had such a successful seasons in the USFL. Richard Todd, of course, on the left, all the great accolades that he had coming out of New York, but neither one has been used today. And I'll bring up the point again, the last 7 or 8 times that the Saints have touched the ball, they have yet to move for a first down or any positive yardage.
Wilson completes this one to Martin, the rookie. He's got blockers in front of him on the screen and is tripped up after picking up a first down. To Dave Wilson's defense, it has not been his fault today. He hasn't gotten much protection at all.
Well, that's true. He has not had a lot of time back there to pass, and I don't know if they'll even get this play off. He might not want to get this play off, but they're about to snap it. Yep, they got it off.
We'll get it off, and it'll be another completion to Martin. Again, the same play. And as the time runs out, he comes up to beyond the 40-yard line, and the gun sounds to end what was a frustrating game for the Saints, and another satisfying win for Chuck Knox, who saw his defense take control of the action. Bum Phillips again has a very bitter loss to take because his defense also played very well.
Well, one thing about Chuck Knox's team is that his team played well enough to stay in the game. The defense really played. We talk about the big keys of the game being the defense setting up the tempo of the game, and they did. They held them early in the game, and that was a big key. The blocked field goal, of course, was a defense. On the other side of the fence, the Saints were unable to protect their quarterback, and they got behind. That was the story of the game.
So Seattle wins it 27-3. They're 6-4 on the season, still in the race in the AFC West. So from the Superdome, this is Tom Hammond for Dave Rowe saying so long for New Orleans and urging you now to stay tuned for NFL 85 coming up in just a moment.